Let's get the show on the road. What's going on, everybody? Another episode, another week.
Hi.
Hello. This week's interesting. We have Dallas joining us. How do you pronounce your last name? We were talking about this last night, and I've always been pronouncing it like Pitchard, like Richard with a P. How do you actually pronounce it?
That's exactly it. Richard with a P in front of it.
Yes, I was right. So we have Dallas joining us, and surprise joining us, Cole. Welcome back. Again.
Thank you.
Another surprise, we have Kyle. Kyle, say hi. Not surprised, we have the big red machine. He's always here.
In my seat.
I don't think...
Get fucked.
I don't think... Mason, you've missed one episode?
Probably.
I think one. We have Josh. You guys never see Josh. He normally sits under the camera. He's still barely... Let me scooch back. There.
No, you can stay there. You can stay there. It's okay.
And then, as always, we have the lovely Bree out there fixing herself some dinner. If you guys get hungry, there is steak out there. Grab some out of the fridge, throw it on a plate, throw it in the microwave.
I've been working on it.
There's Arby's in the microwave, or Wendy's in the microwave.
If we need more, I have another one. I could throw it on the grill. It'll take me like 10 minutes. Depends how hungry everybody gets. How's everybody's week? Let's start with Dallas.
It's good, man. It's hot. I'm not digging that. But it's been a decent week.
Dude, oh man. It's hot. Like, going to cons when it's hot is the most miserable thing ever.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
fun.
I'm so happy they moved the Gettysburg one where it was, because in August, that whole, like, windowed wall is the most miserable place to be. Cole? You have a good
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, it's a pretty good week. It was a short week as far as work's concerned. Spent a lot of time with friends and family, so good week altogether.
Kyle, I'm not even going to ask. I'm happy you're here. That's all I care about.
Yeah, we're all happy here.
Mason?
I can show you.
Mason, you had a great week.
Oh yeah, some real shitheads got fired. It made me happy.
Mason's work arch enemies who have been, like, the plague of Mason's existence. Like, do shitty jobs, smoke weed in the parking lot, finally got full circle.
Accused me of planning a domestic terrorist attack. Had to go talk to the head of security of my building. Like,
Whole ass got caught with doing a drug deal in the work parking lot in front of cameras. Thanks
I
to...
have two things to say
hey,
to that.
you can't say much. Anonymity.
Yeah, don't say anything. You can't say anything.
Yeah, you can't.
Josh, how was your week, Grumpy Gills? You're the
Damn.
grumpiest person here.
Fuck work.
No?
Fuck the 2 brain cells that they all have.
Oh, that reminds me.
Combined!
That
20
reminds-
people combined.
That reminds me. How's you guys' fucking inbound doing with Bree being sent to
they're
third
fine.
shift? No, Joe was losing his mind about it. I was talking to Joe the other day.
Yeah, because he has to
'Cause
work.
when
We're not
you
here to talk
literally
about
come
work.
in at fucking 9 a.m. and expect somebody that's in at 7 a.m. to fucking offload and then help you and then not do anything and then want to bitch to me about it. No, fuck you. Get fucked.
Nah.
Do your own shit.
Nah.
We're doing put away for you.
If you ever
Fuck
wondered.
you.
Now, keep in mind, me and him are like one step under supervisors at our work. So imagine the heat from us when we're not in a good mood.
Well, they fucking hate it. People fucking hate it.
Blumpkins, how was your week?
Whoa, 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 whoa! We're not jumping over that one. We need a story for that shit.
Nope, I'm just trying to get her attention because she's eating. How was your?
If
you have
it
a
was
good
the
week?
downstairs bathroom, let us all know now.
Look, only a few things have happened in that downstairs bathroom, and it wasn't that. Some people have claimed my downstairs bathroom. 2 of them are on the couch. The third one is not here with us.
That is true.
Which one is it?
She's hung with you and me.
Lucas ain't here. Lucas
Oh, I
did
ain't
worse
mess.
than all of you. So.
Oh yeah.
Not that nobody would know.
Lucas,
I'm
the
pretty sure you and I
baller.
both took hairs into the pictures in the bathroom.
I didn't say what happened. I just said took claim to the
Cole,
bathroom.
You're not the first one. That's the best
No,
part.
I'm pretty sure I'm the first one.
I mean,
Boy, Lucas.
full circle for me. I had an okay week.
But Lucas was hugging the toilet.
Oh yeah, like
Lucas was
Straight up
annihilated.
it was scary. We thought we killed him. He had like twitches. He wasn't moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He learned his limits and was afraid of alcohol for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
So, my week was okay. Last week was better. I got to hang out with this guy, which was awesome. I got to hang out with all the Hold Fast crew, which was actually kind of fun to get to talk to
July
everybody.
1st.
July 1st was a week ago, sweetie.
Yeah, we skipped a week to go hang out with Cole
Mason?
and sit in traffic.
Math is not the strong suit.
That's a you problem.
That was awful.
Drive home was nice, though.
Oh yeah, we got home real quick.
Yeah, drive home was freaking lovely. Drive there. We will now be buying a
Yeah,
child-proof tablet just
for
to
the car ride.
watch Wildcrats. Because the last hour and a half was nothing but
Look,
because
I'll-
of stop and go
I don't know what I'm
traffic.
talking about. We listened to the same song at least 7 times.
Oh yeah, we lost fucking
I would've
service.
Because
rather-
somebody couldn't keep service.
I could not keep service, so we had the new Brave the Sea album on repeat, which is fantastic. But Jesus Christ, like even at that point, I was like, all right, please God, get service. And service came on, and it immediately, which I thought was hilarious, as soon as we got service, it like cut the Brave the Sea song off and jumped right into Pour Me Grog. I was like, all right, I can deal with this. So yeah. So this episode is about the most elusive motherfucker I could ever try to get on this show. Busy man. Dude, I tried to get you on before I had got them on. Like, I thought for sure you were going to be an easy sweep, but that turned out to... That was a lie. God, Dallas.
Work season and shit.
Work, vacation. How dare you have a life?
I know. It's awful. It is awful.
I just want to say, so... Me and Bree had met Dallas, 2 years ago, Dallas, Gettysburg. First time we met you.
No.
I think the first time we met was at the drive-in.
No,
that was our second
was our
time.
second.
That was our
Okay.
second time.
Because I wasn't pregnant
What
yet.
was the first time in the old man's fort?
Yeah. So the first time I think was our first Gettysburg show. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh man, I'm
Fuck
in dad
you.
mode.
That would have been
I am in dad mode today. I'm sorry.
that would have been my first Gettysburg show as well.
So we had met you there, and then the drive-in, which was kind of crappy that time because it was a bus because everyone thought it was going to rain, and it turned out to be one of the nicest days of the year.
Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be cold and it was going to rain, and then that sun came out and just heat everything up. It was a good time though. I mean, it wasn't a real big turnout, but it was fun. I mean, you know, it's always cool when I get a chance to get out from behind the table and go look at other people's stuff and you know, go grab an autograph or, you know, just go talk to people that, you know, because it's kind of like a small family with the vendors and the artists and stuff. We kind of know each other, and it's the only time we really get to see each other. So, yeah, that was a good one. That one was actually better than the following years. The following years was really slow.
We missed that one.
Yeah. And
So-
now Craig's not going to be doing them, I don't think. So that's unfortunate.
Who's hosting the Chiodo Brothers Mega Weekend? Is that not him?
That's him. Yeah.
Is that his last
But
one?
that's I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't really. He's been kind of quiet on that stuff or whatever. So I'm not sure. I was looking forward to 2 shows this year, but you know, I understand. You get stressed out trying to throw those things, but
There's a lot of gears to turn.
I tell you, hands down though,
No.
Creature Feature Weekend's my favorite show. Craig does a great job. He puts on a great show. He cares about everybody. He cares about the vendors. He cares about the guests, the attendees, everybody. You know, he gets the food trucks in there. The venue's fantastic. You know, you get the movie theater over there. You can go over there and watch some independent flicks and stuff. It's just real cool. I wish it wasn't as stressful for him that he could actually throw 2 a year. But I get it, you know. As long as I get one, I'm good.
I think the one thing I like about me and Bree like the most about Creature Feature Weekend is it is super family friendly.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's laid back. It is so laid back. It's you know, I like Monster Mania, but Monster Mania is big.
it's
And-
a consumer show.
Yeah. And you know, Creature Feature to me is really stress free, man. I just feel just so zen and level at that show that me and my buddy will go set up, and it's nothing for me to leave him there so I can go walk around and do some things. I'll stay there. He'll walk around, do some things, and it's really low stress. I feel at home at that show. I don't know why. It's just great, and everybody's just super nice.
And I know Mason had gone with us.
Yeah.
And even he said the same thing. No one was rude. There's like the occasional guests that are rude, but like it's super laid back. You can go in and out of your car. You're not rushed to do things. Like even when it comes to autographs, it's not rushed. The room is generally calm. They do they honestly probably the best job catering to their like guests they have.
Yep.
I don't think I've met one grumpy person from a movie there. They've all seemed to have had the best time.
Yeah, they do. And, especially the Killer Clown crew, man, they were fantastic last year.
Yeah.
Or this
I'd
year.
say that's a lie. Tom Savini was being a dickhead, as you put it.
Tom Savini, I found this out after the fact. He was like, how was Tom? I was like, kind of a dick. And Dal was like, yeah, that's what everyone else said. Apparently that's just Tom Savini. He's just a dick.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that too. Me and my buddy, we went and got a picture, and he just really seemed...
I didn't get one. He was too busy talking to the dude from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to give me one. I got a fist bump on a good day. So I got my Creep Show autograph. It's on the wall, and it was an experience, but I would never go out of my way to meet him again.
Right. I feel the same way. There's some people that you will... Some people just give you that awesome experience, and they just want to sit down and chill with you and ask you questions about you. And,
James Jude Courtney?
What's that?
James Jude Courtney. Have you met him?
No.
Dude, you have to. Oh my God. So when we met him last year at his last Monster Mania appearance before End, he was having like a mega freak out because he thought people were out in the rain. He's like, I need to hurry up, and I'm so sorry I can't talk to everybody, and like I just don't want people getting wet. And the staff were like, relax. They're not wet. And he's like, they're not wet? And I'm like, no. He's like, ooh, good, because I was sweating. I was rushing to get down here. He's that type of guy. That was, like, the best
He was
experience.
the first dude out of the double doors, brought back into the double doors to explain the situation.
Yeah,
and
he
was the
was
first one to reline
panicking
up.
so much that they had to take him back through the doors and, like, calm him down. He was that worried about the people. That's, like, those are the experiences I like. Like the Killer Clowns guys. They were so fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, and the clowns. Okay, so you guys, and that was the highlight of that show for me was meeting those guys and meeting the clowns. My Killer Clown piece, which, I'm wearing right now, and that's exactly what the print looks like. Just black all the way around, and it's got the Killer Clown right in the front. I know the guy that has the original piece.
Yeah, I do. It's right there in the wall, and I'm so happy to have it.
What I really dug about those guys was the way that they autographed that piece. Each one of them used a different fluorescent paint. Exactly. Those colors, they use those on the print, and it just looks fantastic. There's a fluorescent orange, a fluorescent pink. Each one of the brothers, each one of the clowns, they each used a different color paint marker, and it was very cool. That's definitely hanging up down in the man cave.
Yeah, I love my piece. I have Cole looking at it now. So that's one of the 3D resin printed art pieces from you.
Yep.
So I had that autographed by, so that's autographed by the directors, the brothers, the Chiodo brothers, the Killer Clowns, and two guys who played multiple clowns throughout the movie. Though they have like
Right.
the main clowns, which was Rudy and Slim. They were pretty much. You can give it to Bree. They were the main clowns in the movie, and honestly, they were like the most relaxed people I think I've ever met, even next to James Jude Courtney.
Oh, they were great because, I walked up there and I showed them the print, and they was like, oh, this is cool. The one guy, got a picture. He tagged it on his Facebook or Instagram or something, and it was pretty neat. And I can't remember their names, but the shorter one, it's great, and that'll lead into, I guess, the rest of this episode. But for those that don't know, I only have one hand. Okay, so I get up there. And I say, hey, guys, can I get a picture, right? So they autograph my picture, right? And then the short one, he takes his Killer Clown glove and he puts it on my stub. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. I just embrace that stuff. Because that's just me. I mean, that is how it goes. And when people don't be shy or think they're going to offend me about something like that, then that just really stands out to me.
Well, that explains a lot to me about his art.
So, I want to ask you a few questions before we get into the Dallas story.
Go for it.
Do you do everything as my Killer Clowns piece as a sketch first, right? Or do you do everything through your program?
It's a mix match. Sometimes I'll do a sketch like I did the Killer Clown one, and then I'll snap a picture of it, and then I'll take it into Procreate on my iPad. And there's where I'll do my digital painting. When I first started doing the digital artwork, I would do it all right there on the iPad. I've since kind of went back a little bit to my conventional roots and started with some sketching and that kind of stuff, and then I'd really just take it in there and fine-tune it and render it in the iPad.
Why you steal my hat?
So, getting into the next question, I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming prior to the incident we're going to hear about, you were your missing arm dominant, correct?
That is correct.
So, obviously, there was a journey to get there, which I can't wait to hear. So, I wanted to I had pre-pull the specific piece we're talking about, so those who are watching the stream got to see the 3D art. So this is what his printed arts look like. And generally, you'll always have a nice big Dallas scribble down here or somewhere over here. So this is the 3D printed art, which has a lot of reflection on it. I have tons of these hanging around that you'll see in different casts. I have It, Halloween. I have a bunch of your Universal Horror monster ones, which I absolutely love. Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Wednesday's upstairs.
So, yeah, we do have Wednesday. So, and that's just one of a ton. So, Dallas, do you have a specific thing that you like to do, or is it just everything? Anything that catches your eye, or... Because I've noticed one trend with you is you like to do things for shows when you have people. So, like your Hocus Pocus one, when that was the drive-in for, was it
Yep.
Garris?
Mm-hmm.
So is that just kind of how you do things, or you just kind of go with the flow?
So, yeah, I like to do what I like to do. I don't do too many commissions, per se, because I have a unique style that, somebody came up to me and says, oh, draw me Superman. I'd be like, that's kind of boring. But, if they came up and they were like, oh, yeah, draw me this, and if the image doesn't pop into my head or something that's kind of that I could do cool with it, then I just don't enjoy doing it. And, and that's just like part of my like ADHD and all the other craziness I got in my head, that if I'm bored and I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it. But, most of the stuff, it's, when I first started out, it was like, it was mostly comic book stuff. I've always read comic books since I was a kid, and, so I was like, I got to do Gambit. That's my favorite superhero. So I had to do him. And then, there's the typical, superheroes that basically have something very specific that's hand related. of course, Gambit, with the playing cards, those types of things. Spider-Man, the different poses. You can do a hand, and you know exactly who it is. But then one year, me and my buddy Bruce Campbell was at Monster Mania, probably about 6 years ago, and we was like, yeah, let's go get his autograph, and we went down there. And we went down there on a Sunday, and the place was hopping. There were people everywhere. Money was changing hands. People were just buying stuff. People were talking, having a good time. And I'm like, for a Sunday, this is pretty legit. And I looked around and I saw that there were some artists set up. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. But I didn't have any horror pieces basically at that time. I hadn't really made that switch over to the horror side. So that was like, okay, well, then of course I've got to do, let's hit the big ones. Let's hit Freddy and do Jason and all this kind of stuff. But then you get some of the more obscure stuff, and some of them were kind of hard to incorporate a hand into. My Michael Myers piece is kind of generic. It's that's the one with the hand breaking through the glass with the knife. But you get the gist because of the knife. Jason, that was another one.
A little bit of coverall.
Right. The Jason was another one that was kind of difficult for me to try to compose because, okay, it's a hand with a machete. So when I did that one, I started to incorporate more backgrounds into my stuff. When I first started, it was just like, oh, here's a hand, and maybe it's just floating with a cloud around it or something like that. But with that one, I was like, okay, let me take some aspects from the movies. Okay, so we've got Jason. So basically, it's a hand holding the machete, and you see Jason's reflection in the machete, and then in the background you see a tent with a sexy lady doing her thing. So that people see that, and then they'll know exactly. Oh, okay, yeah, that's Friday the 13th.
That's one of my favorite ones from you too. Yeah, we do. That's with the machete, and it has the reflection of his face, and it has the tent in the background.
Isn't it in the stairwell?
No, that's the one up in the stairwell. Yeah.
Oh, you grabbed my favorite one.
So, for what most people don't know, so the Into the Crypt layer, there's a bunch of stuff in the room we're in, from autographed pictures, I have masks, I have tons of work from Dallas, our friend Chris Butler, but we have a whole, movie theater set up where they're almost all staggered, where it's just all, our favorite movies, so a couple of years have made it there. And here's one
nice.
I want you to talk about, because you kind of gave me the influence of the struggle. This is my absolute favorite one from you. This is your werewolf one. And it doesn't show on camera. He does every single individual hair through here. And it's so amazing. So you want to talk about that one?
I remember
Sure.
telling you about that one.
So
that one was
the first one that jumped out. That I was like, oh, that's so cool.
I do. That is one of my favorite pieces. And so what I was doing, and I want to think that was one of my first Universal monsters that I did. So I did the Wolfman, I did the Invisible Man, I did the Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula,
Creature of the Black Lagoon,
and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. That was the first one I did. I did the Creature first.
You're
awesome.
I can't reach it. It's high from where it is, but it's super beautiful and almost like a tranquil picture how you did it. So
yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from Alex Ross. He's a great artist, and he did a really cool Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it was all black and white, and I was like, I want to do something black and white, and that was one of my first pieces that I did black and white, other than Thing from the Addams Family. but yeah, that one, the software that I use, Procreate, it's got a really cool feature that it will record your brushstrokes, and you could do a time lapse playback of that. But it also counts the strokes. And when I finished that piece, it had over 30,000 strokes in it, and that's just from me, brushing the hair and getting all that detail into those fingers and everything, and then the highlights, the way the moon was, giving that rim light around the fingers and everything. That one I was really proud of for the longest time. I still am. It is it's probably my favorite out of that series.
Should be really prideful. It's really
Yeah, and the Black Lagoon one, yeah. And again, it's trying to go with my shtick of the hands. It was like, okay, how can I incorporate some of these so people know exactly who it is? Probably the second favorite of mine in that collection is the Invisible Man.
That's what I don't have, unfortunately.
All right, well, we'll do something about that. But that one, how do you do an invisible hand? I mean, so I thought, and I remember watching it, and I was like, okay, well, it was always wrapped up in bandages and stuff. So that piece, I have the bandages wrapped around his hand, but I also have loose pieces that you can see inside the bandage. There's no hand there, but he's holding a little test tube, a little beaker, and there's a chalkboard on the background that has some formulas. I have no idea what they are. I just found them on the internet and was like, okay, here we go.
paste.
It's probably the recipe for meth or something. I don't know.
Breaking Bad.
So I gotta ask this question. I think I kind of know the answer. The hand. Clearly, hands are. To me, it seems like it's something you do as like almost an image to what you've lost. Because I've noticed it's almost always the same hand. Rarely does it change, depending on what it is. But you are heavily dominant on it being the hand that you're obviously missing. Do they go hand in hand? Is that just something you chose?
I think that's a coincidence. When I go into doing a piece, yeah. I don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna just do right hands. It really all depends on the composition of the piece. Sometimes a left hand works out better for the layout, the balance of the piece, how it's going to look, if it is going to flow right. Sometimes it's the right hand. And sometimes, like the gauntlet behind me, I mean, that's a right hand. It's got to be. If I ever did Hulk's gauntlet or Iron Man's gauntlet, it would be on the left. But I think that ship sailed, so nobody cares about that anymore. But yeah, it's not. I think that's just a happy coincidence. Like I said, I don't go into it thinking, oh, this has to be a left hand or a right hand. It all just depends on what looks right to me. And that's how it goes. Sometimes I'll start with a left hand and I'll switch it and I'll reverse it and say, okay, this is a right hand just because it looks better or however. But yeah, completely subconscious that most of them are right hands.
Do it.
Fuck you, not you, him. Fucking dickhead. All right, Dallas. We're gonna get into this before we get back into talking about your art and inspirations because I never wanted to ask you. Like the first time me and Bree met you, we were like, man, I wonder what happened. But I would never ask you in person because it's one of those things where I don't know how it affects you. I don't want it to ruin your day. But we're all curious. What the fuck happened?
All right.
I want to hear this story because I've seen posts from you years ago where you're like, someone invite me on your podcast. I want to tell the story. So, what happened, man? What?
So, depends on who you ask. If you ask my grandson, Ben just cut it off. Yeah, because he'll be like, Pat, what happened to your hand? And I'll tell him, Ninja's cut it off. He's like, okay. And that's it. But as he got older, he wants more detail. So I got to keep elaborating on the story. So, but the real story is I got it stuck in a printing press. And how you doing, buddy?
Oh, that's our other
I'm
boy.
doing all right.
Here.
Just
You're just in time. We're getting into the meat of it.
yeah, I joined just at the right time. I just got the baby to get down.
Welcome, buddy. So it got stuck in a printing press?
Yeah, so I when I was 20, I got a job at a printing company, and and to take it a step back a little further, I'd always been artistic my entire life, as long as I can remember. You give me a crayon, a piece of paper, I'm drawing something. And I wanted to do something art related. I'd always thought graphic design and all that kind of stuff. But back in the day, I didn't take it seriously enough. I didn't finish school, college. I finished high school. Did some community college classes, and then said, it's not for me. But then when this printing company was hiring, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's kind of art. That's graphic design, at least parts of it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try to get a job there and, get my foot in the door. So I did. And so this particular printing press, it's one of the large web presses that takes the big, 1-ton rolls of paper, like you see in the movies that print newspapers and that kind of stuff. Paper just goes through, and then I was the guy out of the 5 guys that run that press. I was the low man on the totem pole. I was the guy at the end. I was what they call the bundler. Once the paper and everything gets printed, they come out in signatures, and you bundle them all up, you strap them together, you put them on a pallet. Grunt work. So I was training to move up to the next position, which would have been roll tender, which is the guy all the way on the other end of the press that loads those big rolls of paper. Now, part of his responsibility was to clean the press. So they were training me how to clean the press, and how these presses work. There's just a bunch of rollers inside of this machine, and ink is put into a trough at the top, and then the rollers basically just transfer that ink all the way down through the machine until it's transferred to the paper. So in order to clean that machine, you have to you put this take-up cartridge cassette on that first roller, and it has a squeegee on it. And as that roller cleans, the rest of the rollers clean throughout the machine. So the machine was just about clean, and you have to do this when it's running. So it was done. The guy told me, he said, "Okay, yeah, go ahead, reach up there, take the cassette off, and we'll be done." And when I did, I reached up this way to take it off, and that roller just nipped my middle finger and just sucked it right in.
Damn.
Yeah, it was not cool.
Lord.
But of course,
I watch
if you know me, you know that I combat pain with humor. So of course, I'm sitting there and I'm stuck in this machine. I was stuck for 45 minutes because they had to take this thing apart and do all that stuff. But
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm stuck there, and of course, I'm in shock, so it didn't hurt nearly as bad as you might think. Your body kind of just shut down and was like, okay, this shit ain't right. Let's kill some pain receptors here. And then, of course, EMTs and everybody show up, and they're shooting you with morphine and stuff, so you're all right. You're just you're hot and sweaty, and you're just like, get this done. And, they're sitting there, my crew, they're sitting there. They're taking this thing apart. Because they gotta take all these rollers apart so they can get this thing separated or whatever. And I looked down at my lead operator, and I was like, dude, this sucks. And he's like, I know, man.
Yo, man, this sucks.
So I'm like, yeah. I said,
this fucking sucks real bad.
it sucks, right? And he's working his wrench. He's like, I know, man. We're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna get you out of here. I was like, no, not that. Right? And yeah. See, so I
now the fucking arm being stuck didn't suck.
yeah,
that's the problem.
that's not what sucked. That's not what sucked. So then I pointed up to a banner that was hanging up on the wall, and we were getting ready to have a pizza party on Monday for 365 days of no lost time accidents.
Oh my God, it sounds like my work.
The only difference is at work we can't get past 1 day.
No, we can't get past 1 day without someone fucking smashing something or throwing their back out.
So I pointed at the banner. I was like, "We're not going to get our pizza now." And
That's all we cared about was the pizza.
I was worried about the pizza.
Man has priorities straight.
Man wants food.
Look, I know my arm's fucked. I just want the pizza.
Yep. Well, the good news is we did get the pizza. But
because they felt bad.
after I got out of the hospital and came back, they had a little pizza party for me. So I did get my pizza. But no, that's how I kind of deal with that shit, And and he was just like, he started crying, and I was like, I didn't know it was as serious as it was, because I could still, feel my hand. They opened up the side of the machine, and I could wiggle my fingers. Of course, they're squeezed out of this in between rollers. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fine. I just broke my hand. Get me out of here. I'll be back Monday. But yeah, they finally they got me out, and they flew me down to University of Maryland, and I want to think what a 15-hour surgery. I think it was like a 15-hour surgery. And then I woke up, and of course everything's swollen. Okay, so basically my arm was just all wrapped up, and it was so big that it looked like my hand was there. And and I asked, I was like, "Hey, did you save it?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Fuck," So I cried for a week, and then I got a headache from crying. So I was like, "I'm fucking done crying. I don't like a headache. I can't. I'd rather get kicked in the nuts than have a damn headache."
I've been through enough. Fuck this headache.
Exactly. I'm done crying. It is what it is. So, I was in the hospital for a week, got out. I was off of work for about a month, and then I went back. And of course, when I went back, they was like, "Okay, you got a job for life. What department do you want to work in?" I was like, "Okay, well, I want to work in pre-press. I want to work in electronic pre-press, where they're preparing all the files and everything for print or whatever, basically graphic design." So I didn't get my foot in the door. I got my hand in the door. But so
I love the fact
while
that
I'm
you're killing this with humor.
So, while I'm there, I was there till they closed the doors. It was about 8 years. And, while I was there, taught myself Photoshop, Illustrator, all that kind of stuff. I'd always been, computer savvy. We did have computers in high school, even though it was back in the 90s. But I taught myself that stuff, and then basically I stayed in the printing industry for about 20, 25 years. Recently just kind of got out of it, and I'm doing something completely different. But yeah, so after I lost the hand, I was just I didn't draw. I didn't do any of that stuff because I couldn't.
We just had someone fall. Beer's okay. We just had someone fall through the couch.
Well, he didn't spill his drink.
I just leaned my ass
eventful.
I don't know.
Is you more comfortable? Fuck it.
And to think they're coming back for a third round, but we're on the fucking opposite side
Bro,
of the
fuck it.
spectrum.
It's more comfortable this way.
It looks ergonomic.
You know, my ass is half sunk in, my legs are half up. It's a struggle to get back up, but it's comfy.
It's gonna take the whole crew to get him out of the fucking
Bro, I feel like a turtle.
It's that- It's that zero G.
Man. You're so calm about all this, like, and I'm over here being like your emotional like actor over here for them.
He's over here like
because I have 26 years in a print shop, and I'm like looking at them like, oh my god, no,
Oh, no,
and you just take it so well, man.
I've watched enough live league videos, so I'm like,
It's been so long. Like I said, it's been 25 years. It's just the attitude that you got to have. It's, you know, I try to embrace it. I try to own that shit, you know, and I try to use it to my advantage, you know, no matter what. It's not, and I did a post, it was 25 years in March 27th. That's the Studio 327. Basically about, you know, overcoming it, owning that shit, turning it to your advantage. And that's exactly what I've done. I'm a proud guy. I don't like to ask for help. I don't ask for help. I get yelled at all the time because I don't ask for help, and then I get pissed off when I can't do something, and then I'll walk away from it, but I'll come back and I will get that shit done. One way or another. But yeah, the
is fucking inspiring, really.
printing is a lot more dangerous than people think, and you know, and I won't go into the whole details about why the press didn't have guards on it or any kind of shit like that, because yeah, it should have had guards. But you know, a part of me thinks that, okay, yeah, if it had guards on, it wouldn't have happened, and I'd probably still be running a press.
I'm in
You know, shit happens for a reason.
I'm in
And
you said about 5 people being on that web.
yeah. So we had
In state government, we had one person running a web. One.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had a first operator and a second operator. Then we had a roll tender. We had the bundler. So it was 4 people.
And you have
But yeah, that's what happened. So that's part of the story. So that's kind of where everything kind of kicked off. So for the next 10, 15 years, I really didn't do any art.
Me? Yeah. I'm like a hermit crab.
Sorry, we're still fucking. We're stuck on someone. You know that chaos and whiskey thing you put on the
Yes.
box is what we haven't revealed yet.
Well,
It's Mason.
He's part of the chaos.
I just bring the whiskey. That's a fucking improv afterwards.
Oh shit! All right, back to Dallas.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of quit art for the longest time. Now, of course, having access to Photoshop and Illustrator and a lot of the desktop publishing software, I was able to kind of keep up on my artistic abilities and you know, kind of branch out into some other things using the digital art. But then one year I was at Baltimore Comic-Con, and I was walking around and then checking out some stuff, and there was this guy, independent artist, kind of selling books or whatever, and he was on an iPad. He had the iPad and the Apple Pencil, and I went up to talk to him. I was like, "That's pretty cool." And you know, so he started showing me, "Oh, this is this and this is that," and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's really similar to Photoshop with layers and all this kind of stuff. The way you can kind of zoom in and really get details." But I was like, "That's cool, man. I'm gonna go get an iPad." So I got an iPad and I got an Apple Pencil, and I used it to play Angry Birds for about 2 years. Didn't even use the damn pencil.
Precision
Um,
birds.
Yeah, so it was one of those things that, I had it, and I just, again, the motivation, I was just like, I'm going to suck. I'm not going to be good at this. That's why I stopped drawing in the first place, because I don't have my dominant hand, and I got to teach myself how to do it with my left hand, and then I'm going to get frustrated, and blah, 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 blah. But then I realized that using the iPad and using Procreate, if I messed up, all I have to do is double tap it, and it undoes it. So it took that level of frustration out of the art, and it made it enjoyable for me again. I was able to actually complete some pieces without having to crumble up 10 sheets of paper and get all frustrated and then quit. So that was a big benefit, a big help in my life, was that bit of technology, just to be able to get back into it and start drawing again. So what really sparked me doing what I do was about 6 years ago, 6 or 7, I can't remember. Anyway, so my good shoulder is no longer my good shoulder. The years and years and years of overuse has definitely took its toll on there, and got arthritis setting in real bad, right? So I went to a doctor, and it was like, okay, yeah, we can kind of go in there, and we can kind of scrape some of that out and clean it up a little bit, and it should help you. I was like, all right, let's do it. So what they did is they went in there and they basically cut a little bit of my collarbone off. So I was down. I had no arms for at least a week. It took about a week before I could actually get a little bit of flexibility out of my shoulder, that I could actually feed myself and, wipe my ass, that kind of stuff. So about maybe the second or third week into it, I was over at my brother's house, and we were just hanging out. And I was like, I'm going to bring this iPad just to mess around. So I'm sitting there, and I'm doodling. I'm hopped up on hydrocodones, feeling pretty decent. And I'm just doodling. I drew like a Deadpool or something. And my niece's boyfriend kind of walked by, and he was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I was like, thanks, man. He was like, you ever do anything in color? And I'm like, no, I haven't. I've always just been like a pencil and ink guy. I want to be a comic book artist or something. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. So we went camping with my parents that next weekend. And I couldn't help do anything. So everybody else had to set everything up. So I just sat by the fire and had my iPad there. So I was like, okay, let me mess around with this thing. Watched a couple YouTube videos on kind of digital painting, that kind of stuff. And, I just did a piece. I did Gambit holding a playing card. I was like, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll do something else. So we went out to dinner. They wanted crabs. I don't really eat crabs because I just think it's too much work. And I was like, you guys go ahead, eat your crabs. You can spend 3 hours doing that. I'm just going to sit here and draw. So I just started drawing something else. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. But to kind of jump back a little ways, I'd always gone to comic conventions with my best friend. We'd always kind of go down to Baltimore or something like that. And we'd be in line with the rest of the sheep being herded into the con. And you're sitting there waiting. But then you see these guys just walk by all nonchalant. And they got these things hanging off their neck called vendor badge. They get to come and go as they please. They get in early. They get to stay late. It's like, man, we got to get one of them. And I was like, but we ain't got nothing to sell. And what are we going to do? Go buy some comic books and try to set up and do something? So, jumping back into the future, I'm sitting there, I'm drawing, I'm doing some color stuff, right? So then I'm kind of do 4 or 5 pieces, and then I'm back at my brother's house chilling, and my nephew comes up and he says, "Hey man, they're pretty cool. You should try to sell them." And I'm like, "Huh? Nobody wants to buy this shit." He's like, "You should try it." And I was like, maybe. So the guys that run the comic shop that I go to up in Chambersburg, they run the Harrisburg Comic Con, and they run the 4-State Comic Con in Hagerstown, which is where I'm from. So that's kind of like right in my backyard. So I contacted them. I was like, "Hey guys, thinking about maybe setting up and trying to sell some art." And they was like, "Yeah, come on out." So I did. I got about 15 pieces done or whatever. I worked in printing, so I was able to get a good deal on some prints, and went through, set up, and I've been pretty much doing that ever since. So that's the story in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but yeah. And then, like I said, then I started getting into the horror stuff, and the horror conventions have been very good to me. Comic cons, I don't do as well at Comic cons anymore, mainly because I don't have a lot of anime. Most Comic cons, these kids nowadays, they really want a lot of anime.
How would you
And I'm
do, like, so there's a lot of stuff going on in anime to fit that to your art style. Like, so I had talked to you when we had seen you in Gettysburg, and I said Pokemon would be a good way for you to kind of sell. But as far as other animes, like, how are you gonna go? What would you do for Gundam?
Just a giant robot?
Yeah, you're limited, and that's not your style. And personally, like, I get it. I was trying to kind of, like, coax you into the Harrisburg one. Hell, I would have let you stay in my extra room if I would have needed to. I would have helped you then. So, but, like, just so I could have had you, like, in person. So it's one of those things where, for me, like, I get it. You kind of now have found, I don't want to say where you belong, but in a crowd.
it's my it's my niche. It's my shtick, and that was the thing that when I was talking to my buddy about, setting up and vending, I'm like, what am I going to do? I mean, yeah, I can draw, I can do these things, but you go to a con and you go to Artist Alley and you're just in a sea of different stuff that's all the same. You got guys that do sexy ladies, you got guys that do superheroes, you got guys that do bust and headshots, that kind of stuff, but nobody was doing hands. And I'm like, that could be my thing. I'm the hand guy. And so when I started doing the hands, and people just started noticing it, and they have fun with it. I'd have my book setting out, and people would just go through the book, and they'd be guessing who these people are. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And then some of them I tried to make a little bit more obscure, deep cuts. My one Beetlejuice piece was probably the deepest cut that I'd done. It was basically just a hand holding a finger with a wedding ring on it. And, it's from a 15-second scene at the end of the movie when he's getting married and he pulls the ring out. And it's on the chick's finger, and he's like, "She meant nothing to me." And I just thought that was just funny. It's funny stuff. But yeah, sometimes it is hard to incorporate and do a piece solely by hand, not by hand, using a hand. I did a Christmas Story piece, which I really like. Now, Christmas Story really isn't known for hands. It's known for a leg lamp. So the piece is a crate with the leg lamp coming out of it. But I did incorporate a hand because I specifically remember in that movie when Ralphie ran his hand up and down that leg and his mom smacked his hand. He's like, "Ralphie,
remember that. Holy shit.
Yeah, something about him, of course, his inner monologue, electric sex flashing in the window or something, and he's just rubbing his hand up and down that leg, and I was like, "There, that's it." Again, deep cut, just something so minuscule about that movie, but people look at it and they see it and they're like, "Okay, yeah, I know exactly what that is."
So, I feel like there's questions around the room. So if you have questions or anything you want to pass to Dallas before we continue on, let's
when's
hit
the
it up.
ninjas come in?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about ninjas,
no,
Dallas. What the
ninjas.
hell? Why is there not an art piece with ninjas taking Dallas's arm?
Magic ninjas, no less.
I'll put it on the list.
I'm sure that's a long list. Cole, you got anything?
Did the Foot Clan take his hand?
Oh, I was making a Juggalo joke, but okay. I was talking about Magic Ninja Entertainment, but okay.
Do you have anything, Ninja Turtle?
I do have one Ninja Turtle piece. It's an older piece. Basically, it's just a Ninja Turtle hand. That's all it is. Yeah, it's probably one of the first 6 that I did, maybe. There are some that I want to go back and revisit. Like I said, I did my Freddy piece and I did my Jason piece. And then another piece that I'm actually very proud of, and it's a pretty popular piece, is my Freddy versus Jason piece. And
I love it.
what I wanted to do with that piece was I wanted to pay homage to Todd McFarlane's Incredible Hulk cover that had Wolverine's claws popping out, and you saw Wolverine's the Hulk's reflection in the claws. So I was kind of looking at that. I was like, yeah, that would be kind of cool to have Freddy holding up his claws, and then there's Jason's reflection in the claws. It took me a while to get the composition right on that page. But I think the result was actually very cool. And a lot of people, the Jason mask is just subtle enough that a lot of people don't realize it at first. And then they see it and they're like, oh, that's cool. But that was one of the first faces that I'd ever done. Everything else had just been hands.
Yeah, so this is like one of the first things me and Bree had ever bought from you. And it's such an amazing piece. And like the detail that you put into the claws, like even to the fact where you made sure that Jason's mask is like the proper color for the movie, and like, and
that was a struggle on that piece because, you know, Wolverine's claws are, you know, shiny. Freddy's claws are not. They're kind of rusty, and so I had to make sure that they were dirty enough, but they still showed a bit of a reflection of Jason in there. So that's probably one of my favorite horror pieces that I've done, other than say like the Wolfman. But yeah, I was very, very proud of that piece, and it's been a popular one. I've got that on tumblers, T-shirts, the whole 9 yards. So it's been a good piece for me.
And the thing is like, so I've grabbed 3 pictures, which, as far as things that I bought from you, is a fraction of what I bought. I have so much Dallas stuff around the house, and I'm happy to have it. Yeah. Because you bring such a unique style to the artwork. It's not all or nothing. It's not full imagery. It's a very specific, focused type of art that no one is doing at shows. Everyone is trying to be just slightly better than someone else. They're doing a picture, especially with horror cons. I've never been to like any of the Comic-Con, but I've noticed there will be 10,000 pictures of Jason, and they'll
like
all be
5 photos of Sam Hain. Holy shit, I can't speak.
But everything will be like minusculely, very, very small and different. And then you come to your booth, and that's one of the things that that caught our attention when we seen you. It's like, holy crap, this is different than anything else we've ever seen. And, like, you were one of the last booths we had got to on our first time at Gettysburg. And we were like, we need to get stuff from him before we leave. And that really shows. And one of the big things that captured us, too, was you. You were super humbling, super nice. There's a lot of booths you walk up to at those shows and people don't even say shit to you. Yeah, everything in the book is $10 and you get a free print. And no, the first time I met Dallas, I was like, hey, how you guys doing? You enjoying your day? And like, before we even got to and then there's a Dallas pitch. The pitch I fucking hate. I'm sorry, I love you. And you are 100% part of my family, and I hate when you fucking do this. And you're like, well, if you buy 2 of these, you get this free. I'd rather pay for it. But you have never let me walk away paying for it. Even when I did pay for it, you snuck something else in, you son of a bitch.
I was gonna say, I've been on the receiving end of that too.
The first time, I was like, just so you know, if you buy something from Dallas, he's gonna corner you. You're gonna get something for free, even if you want to pay for it. Oh, I fucking hate you, because I would rather give you every penny I have for the work that you do than not at all. Like,
Well, and see, and here's the thing. At the drive-in that year, you basically did give me every penny that you had, because you guys were like, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then you kind of stepped away and you were talking. It was like, well, okay, the rent's paid and this and that. And I'm like, they're literally like spending their last bit of money to get my stuff. And it's very flattering. And again, I'm going to make sure that I take care of my fans and people that really dig my stuff. And, you know, you guys are always going to be, you know, those guys that come through and I'm going to be like, yeah, here, you got this.
So this is one of my proudest pieces, and this is a rare thing to see before I show it. Dallas does not have a lot of these, and I personally believe, like, this one I was tight, and Dallas worked with me, and it wasn't a super shortcut. I feel like Dallas got what he wanted out of it, and he knew I wanted this from the day it made its debut, when it was on display and it wasn't done. But there is not a lot of these at Dallas booth, and if you get a chance and there's a print that you like and you meet Dallas, I 100% suggest going through the piece that has his originals in it and getting it, because I know there's not a lot. I'm super proud of the Dallas. I'm so proud of this piece. It's on my autograph wall. This piece hangs with James Jude Courtney, Grant from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Peter Cullen. You're literally hung next to Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Bob Elmore, and you're hung literally right above the most legendary man who's ever played Jason, Kane Hodder. You're next to Tom Savini, James Jude Courtney, literally a few pictures away from Nick Castle, one of the greatest horror icons of all time. And
hold on. You are on the wall that pretty much shaped the man that sits right here.
Like, all of these things were a huge part of my childhood, and even part of, like, what Bree loves. So, Trick or Treat, which I'll have to pull the resin print down for that, because you have one, and I would love to show it off.
And I mean...
But, like, the biggest things I remember, so for horror for me, and I don't know, like, Cole, if you're into horror, I know Kyle is, Thermic is a little bit. Horror for me, I remember it, like, watching through the banister, because I wasn't allowed to watch it, seeing things like Christine, like Creepshow, like Friday the 13th. I used to remember when I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, AMC used to run the coolest shit ever. It was their Fear October or whatever, where it was horror movies day in, day out, all the time. Children of the Corn. One of the main Halloweens they played was the one with Don Shanks in it, where, like, the most famous scene is signed up on my wall. It's him with the big scythe holding it with, like, the light coming through the broken barnwood. So horror really kind of shaped my life for me, because at that time, I didn't have anything. So, like, I clung on to the moments that I snuck from my grandparents, because they wouldn't let me watch it. So, the impact you made on me and your desire to continue to be who you are and make amazing pieces of art.
And be original.
And honestly, to be original, because when you go to horror cons, man, especially when we're talking Monster Mania, there's a lot of people essentially pulling what, like, me, Cole, and Kyle can throw a booth tomorrow and go buy a bunch of shit masks and a bunch of pre-printed artwork and throw a booth together and go to Monster Mania. That's part of Monster Mania's clientele. So to stand out amongst the delusion it's super important to me, and you left a huge impact.
And that's really hard to do.
And like I said, it takes a lot to put an impact on me where I would put you in some of the icons that have impacted my childhood. So this is one of the originals that we're talking about. When you get a chance to go through Dallas' booth and you go through the original bin, you will find these beautiful sketches that are absolutely amazing, and personally have the same, if not a little more detail than even the prints can handle. Like, there's fine details in here in the cup of this killer clown print that just are not visible on the print. Like, they're there in shading, but if you get a chance and you go to a con, Monster Mania is normally in New Jersey, they're in Maryland, they bounce back and forth, there's a lot of them a year. If you get a chance and you get to a Monster Mania at Dallas or you get to go to Creature Feature Weekend, and you find a print you like, chances are that there is probably the originals for these, because I haven't seen a lot of these sell. So absolutely take the chance. And like, you're looking at an original from a man who lost his dominant arm, and if you were to hand this to me, I'd be like, oh yeah, that doesn't look like anything happened. Like, my first shock when I met Dallas was like, his arm was below his table because he sits low, and then he pulls his arm up, and I'm like, oh, there's no fucking arm there, holy shit. So, and that's what gives the impression when you look at a lot of his prints that, like, well, he uses his lost arm as an inspiration. So, these are absolutely worth it. I'm happy to have this one. I'm probably the biggest Killer Clowns fan you'll ever meet. Like,
Dallas, draw me like one of your French girls.
yeah, you can, Dallas, if you want to. So, and Bree has...
No.
Bree's gonna show off one of Dallas's 3D resin prints, which have been pretty new for you. What made you get into it, Dallas?
So, I don't know what made me get into it. Probably just like getting online and seeing like all the 3D models. I have statues. I like statues, and I have a lot of statues. And I thought, man, it'd be cool if I can kind of just do my own, because I saw some really cool models. There's a lot of talented 3D artists out there that put together a lot of cool models, and you can get them real cheap, like $10. But you need a way to produce them yourself. So I kind of did some research on that, and I decided to go the resin 3D printer route. Your quality is a lot better, and I think it's a lot more consistent than your other 3D printing technologies, the PLAs and that kind of stuff. I have one of those as well. I don't use it as much. Like I said, when I'm doing my statues, I want them to be more like a fine art piece. I want them to have some weight to them. I want them to kind of feel like you actually have something. The plastics, they just they feel light. They feel kind of cheap. But the funny thing about the Sam piece is I did that piece for the Creature Feature drive-in show, where they had the one girl that was the young witch.
Yeah, we have her autograph. I forget her name, and if I could read doctor signatures, I would. But that was the first person we, as a couple, had ever met. And we'll kind of get into. I want to get into that a little bit and how we met you because I kind of give you an idea on how much you've impacted us. So that was really like your first like 4-show piece.
That was. I'm trying to think. Was it the first? No, it wasn't my first 4 piece because I had done the Gettysburg show. I had done Monster Mania first, and then COVID hit. So there were no shows for a while. And then I did Creature Feature. But I had never seen Trick or Treat. A buddy of mine gave me the Blu-ray to watch like 2 years before this show. And I just never watched it. But then this show popped up, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I should probably watch this so I could do a piece. Because that's what I'll do. I won't just, like, pick a character and be like, okay, let me search the internet to see what this guy looks like. I want to watch the movie and get an understanding of the characters and the environment that's going on there, because that's where I'm going to pull a lot of my inspiration from. That case in point for that piece right there, the pumpkin with the hand coming out of it holding the lollipop. Very symbolic of the character. People look at that and they know exactly what movie it's from. And it's a striking piece with the lighting. The lights coming from inside the pumpkin. So that was a new thing for me to experiment with. Usually you're dealing with a light source that's kind of outside. So it's casting a shadow this way and all this kind of stuff. But this light was coming from inside the pumpkin, shining up and then shining out through the face in the front. So when I threw that together, I was like, this looks pretty cool. And actually my aunt bought the T-shirt, and she has no idea what it's from. She just liked the pumpkin. She thought it was a cool piece. But then I was when I got the 3D printer, I was messing around. I'd done a Harry Potter piece. I did a Thundercats piece. But then my buddy was like,
but your Thundercats piece was amazing.
Yeah, I'd really like to do another one of that, because I kind of went fancy on that one. I put LEDs in it, and the Eye of Thundera and everything lit up, and it was pretty cool.
Not
but
shots, but you're missing a Transformers piece.
Yeah. I have a Transformers piece.
It's not a statue.
Not a statue.
Good Lord.
But
He only just started doing them not that long ago.
Pressure's on, Dallas.
Pressure's on.
Oh God.
The
Where the hell is the Transformer? If he has one,
Yeah,
why don't you have it?
Why don't I have it? What is it? I don't think
It
I ever
is.
seen it.
Well, let me see if I can find it. Again, it's an older piece. It was yeah, so the gist of it
is a huge part of my life. The voice of my childhood is Peter Cullen, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up on old Transformers reruns.
The fact that you could.
Why do I not? Oh, it's because it's goddamn Megatron.
That's why he doesn't have it. Just kidding.
That's such a cool piece, though. I've never seen. Is it even in your book?
Yep.
Is it? Dallas, I have flipped through your book several times.
I've got it. Yeah, it's in there with the He-Man and the Skeletor and the Thundercats.
I don't think we've seen it the last.
I don't think. God, now I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself.
Did you have it when we got the Killer Clowns piece?
So,
I swear I
but yeah, so when I did we were coming home from a show. I can't remember which one it was, and I was talking about doing some more statues. And my buddy was like, "You should really do your Sam." And I was like, no, you're absolutely right. I think that piece would lend itself well to a statue. And I was going to go all high tech with that too and put some LEDs in it. But I ended up going low tech, man. I was like, I wanted that flickering candle effect. And I was like, well, they make LED candles that flicker. I could just kind of design this thing so it holds the little tea light. And then you get those things at the dollar store, you know?
Which is all that's inside. But, like, even the camera doesn't do it justice. There's so much detail just in the wooden base of this. And, like, you do such a good job with your paint. Like, it hides any print lines that there would be.
The thing about that piece that you have, that was done before I got my bigger 3D printer. So I was using an Elegoo Mars, which only prints so big. So that piece is actually 6 pieces, all kind of pieced together and put together. That pumpkin is actually 2 pieces. I had to print that in 2 halves. So, you know, it took a little bit to, you know, kind of fill that seam, sand it down, get it painted. But it's all my statues are they're all hand painted. They're all hand weathered and everything with the oils and stuff. It really brings out a lot of that detail. But I have a lot of fun. I'm actually working on a couple more right now, getting geared up for the next few shows I got. So we'll see.
So, you guys have any questions? There gotta be questions besides Kyle sleeping. Cole?
First, I want to say, like, I've only looked at your art on your site, and actually looking at the pieces that Kevin's brought out, like, the detail is incredible. And it's amazing that the stuff that you have displayed on your site, like, it does it no justice. Like, it's fantastic. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of hard sometimes to show how cool some of those things actually look in real life, especially like the statues and stuff. It's hard to get real good pictures to show, you know, exactly what they look like. Yeah, definitely the best way to look at my stuff is to come see me at a show and actually see it in real life. You know, flip through the book. I do everything when I first started, I started doing everything as just 11 by 17 prints. And then, you know, guys like Kevin and them, they started buying a bunch of prints, and then they were like, oh, well, I'm out of wall space, so I can't get any more 11 by 17s. So I started doing 5 by 7s. So I have an 11 by 17 version of everything, and I also have a 5 by 7 version of everything, because 5 by 7s, you can put them on a nightstand or on a coffee table or something like that. And, you know, people are more inclined to get 5 by 7s than they are the 11 by 17s.
So we got a couple.
Yep. So there's an example of the blob.
And then his Hellraiser one, which we actually picked up on the show we got to meet Doug Bradley. So.
You were so excited.
Oh, hell yeah.
You
Doug Bradley's
fanboyed
a
yourself
legend.
so hard. It was
Yeah,
hilarious.
these are his
Like, no, Dallas, you don't understand. This man stopped speaking. That's how happy it was to meet Doug Bradley. This man shut the hell down.
He forgot his name.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I was starstruck meeting Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley asked him what his name was to write it on his
yeah,
autograph. And he's like, Kevin.
So, I have that's autographed by Doug Bradley. I have a cube autographed by Doug Bradley. I'm like, all I get is like, thank you so much for what you've done. I'm like, I totally locked up. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it was a fucking big real moment. I have a couple more, Dallas. Dallas, keep going or keep asking questions. I got a couple more.
Yeah, I get that way too sometimes.
I got a question. What's your next piece
Go
you're
for it.
working on?
What's that, bud?
What's your next piece you're working on?
It is.
I think he's breaking.
I've got a few that I'm working on. The way that I kind of work is I'll kind of lay some stuff out, and then if I'm not feeling it, I'll jump onto something else,
Okay.
and then I'll keep jumping back and forth.
Okay.
So it's a toss-up right now between a Texas Chainsaw Massacre piece and a Terrifier piece.
I would like to see the Texas Chainsaw one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw would be super
Mainly
cool.
because you and Kyle keep referring to me as the Texas Chainsaw
Yeah,
Killer.
he could be a good Leatherface. So this is Dallas. I want to actually ask questions about this one because this is one of the few Universal monsters where you brought a little bit of color in.
Big red machine.
So
Like,
almost black and white.
Red, drunk Irish bastard,
You have your
Gossamer.
just a bit of color on the amulet, which is super important, and just this little bit where he's
Listen to
cleaning
this guy
up
where he
here.
calls me Gossamer.
Was that just a stylized choice you made, or was the goal you were going for to kind of cause a focus here and here before you focus on
So out of all the Universal monsters that I've done, that was the only one that actually had a touch of color.
the only one?
And I just felt it was fitting. Having that color on that amulet was really cool looking. I liked it, but I felt that it was kind of unbalanced. So that's why I put the little bit of blood running down his lip, and then basically, and that's where the hand came in of him wiping his mouth. So I had to incorporate the hand in some way, and then I was like, okay, it's Dracula. What am I going to do with that? So that's where that one kind of came in with just the splash of color, and then this one, the one you got right there, that was my favorite for a while.
This one I feel like is the most slept on in your booth. The detail on this one is insane for one, and the fact that most people like. First off, it is huge. No matter what generation of it you're a fan of, whether it's the original version, whether it's the book, or whether it's the new version, it is gigantic. And this one, like, the camera isn't going to do this justice. Like, just the water detail of the rain is insane. And just that, like, you can look at this and even if you only read the book and be like, oh, yeah, that's absolutely an it picture, like, the focus is perfect. And honestly, for me, the focus for this one isn't even the little bit of color. It's directly on the hand and the storm drain. This is one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, that's been a very popular piece of mine. It's a striking piece, and it's been hard to translate that over into other products like the tumblers and the T-shirts and stuff, because it's one of those pieces that's really just a full screen picture. But yeah, and that piece just was really, I don't want to gloat, but it was really easy to do. That one, for some reason, just really flowed right out of my brain, down through my arm, to the pencil. Not a lot of mistakes, not a lot of undos on that. And just the way that it kind of came out, and then, of course, people know exactly what it is. I mean, my 5-year-old grandson was like, Pennywise. I was like, how the hell do you know who Pennywise is?
And honestly, like, you did something that most other people would never do with Pennywise. There's no boat. There's no yellow rain jacket. There's none of that. It's just specifically, like, almost like a Pennywise offering. Like, here's the red balloon. And it really is beautiful. And like the cameras, or like Cole said, looking at it on the website, it doesn't do it justice. Your artwork has so much detail beyond what you see in the surface level that, like, there are some times I walk by, like, a picture I have from you from the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and I noticed something the other day. I was like, I never fucking noticed that before. And I love that about it. And you do such a good job of capturing, especially when it comes to your horror stuff, what it is, the imagery of that specific character, and like the imagery of what most people would think. Like, the first thing people would think of, especially in the new generation of it, is the hand in the red balloon. One of the most famous scenes from the new movie that everyone loves is it holding the stack of red balloons. So
Right.
you just took that, you threw, which I love, you threw that old-fashioned style of the original It with the storm drain. You took that big signature red balloon, said, here's a storm drain, here's a hand, here's a red balloon. If you don't know what it is, you are clearly clueless.
Yeah, and that, again, that was another, some of my earlier pieces, it's basically just a hand coming in from, off screen. And there's really no confining area for it. It's just like, okay, it's just a close up to, on somebody's hand. But that one, I was just like, okay, yeah, I could have just had the hand coming up holding the balloon, and it would have been just fine. People still would have known what it was. But I wanted to make sure that it told a little bit more of the story of, behind that. So another aspect, again, I'm not going to go just draw a piece without actually doing a little bit of research and understanding what it is, whether it's reading a comic book or, watching a movie or anything like that. I'm going to make sure that I know a little bit about it. So I remember watching the original It back when it came out, and it was scary as shit. That clown was just weird.
Yeah, that's it well with you.
And when they remade it, I was like, I don't know if they should be doing this.
What? You didn't like it?
I
But,
personally did a good job with the new It. Yeah, I found out.
And I think, yeah.
Clowns.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the new one either. I like the old one better.
The old one was more of a. It was more like of a psychological thriller, when this one was more of a. I don't know. It was just a more of a horror movie type thing. It wasn't. It didn't mess with my head as much as the other one did. But then again, I was like 10, so of course it was going to mess with my head.
So, overall, Dallas, you've obviously overcome a huge. Most people who would have met your situation, I think all of us in the room, had we lost like a big part of our life, like, your dominant arm, most of us would have been like, well, I'm fucked.
I guess
And
this
that-
game's over.
Yeah.
I just have
Like-
to learn to give myself a stranger. That's
Guess
all.
I'm gonna have to do the stranger the rest of the way.
Yeah, exactly what Cole said. Guess I'm gonna have to be my own stranger. Is it still a stranger if you do it enough? I
Well,
don't think it
depends.
is.
Are you ambidextrous?
But
You get to know him.
What's his name?
it honestly is really inspiring. And one of the things I wanted to bring up, and why I've pushed so hard, I pushed really hard to have two specific groups of people on this podcast. So, for those of you who don't know, this podcast was a random whim idea.
It was like 90% you drunk and me just being like, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So,
sounds fun.
but
Hostage.
there was two groups of people I wanted to have on the podcast when I knew that it was going to be a thing, and I thought I could land guests if I did the right thing. You were number one, so we met you, Dallas, a short time after we had lost our first child. So your hospitality and being humble and like seeing you fight through the adversity of what was a huge deal impacted me and Bree a lot. And then the next one went down to Holdfast, which, so like we had met you, and I was still really on a downward spiral. Like I was ready to clock out, and that was going to be it. And the inspiration between both of you guys and just being original and being yourself, and no matter what happens, you can always make something of it, was the message I got from you and from Holdfast together. And I hope to God, it's never going to change. After getting to know everybody that I have on this journey, it's been fucking phenomenal. And really, I have no artistic ability. My artistic ability relies within a drum kit and a guitar.
So you're saying things would have been different if I had a shorter fuse?
Dallas, I met the guy who broke my couch by slapping him in the ass, hoping he would beat my ass at work so I can get fired. That's how much I was tired of life. I was like, yeah, fuck this. And I slapped his ass, and his response was, ooh.
Oh, daddy.
Yeah, oh, daddy. And I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta be friends with him now.
Yep.
But overall, like, it really is fucking inspiring that you.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that because that's what I want to do, and I'll talk to people. People come up to me at shows or whatever, and especially younger people with their parents or whatever, and the parents will be like, "Oh yeah, little Susie here, she's going to art school or whatever. You got any, tips or anything?" And I'll sit down and I'll talk to them, and I'll be like, "Yeah, this is what I think. This is what worked for me. It's not always going to be what's the best for you or anything like that, but you definitely want to practice it, and you can see an evolution in my art, just from my first pieces to how my interests change, how I kind of compose and lay out a lot of my pieces. At the very beginning, like I said, they were just kind of hands with no backgrounds, and I started doing some backgrounds, and then I got my 3D printer or whatever, and I started doing pieces that I thought would look cool as statues. My He-Man and my Skeletor piece, those types of things, I think they would look awesome as statues. And one of these days I might actually, mess around with that. My problem is I try to juggle too many balls at the same time. And trying to learn 3D printing, trying to do this, I do programming.
We'll get there. Everyone. So here's the funny thing. So the way I kind of worked myself into the Holdfast family, one time we had gone to see them, and it was like your last show of the year. It was like it was an art exhibit show, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like really tight, and me and Mason had snuck them in a couple shows prior. Mason had snuck them in a bottle of whiskey. He was like, yeah, we're going to get you a bottle of whiskey. You guys have been fucking awesome. And that show turned out somehow went bad. But it was still amazing because any chance I get to hang out with Cole has been some of like the best chances in my life.
Wow.
But it's one of those things where, like, we were hanging out, we were talking about juggling balls, and I was like, they're like, yeah, we don't have a drummer, they didn't have a guitarist. I'm like, all fucked up, I'm drunk, they're drunk. I'm like, I'll buy a drum kit right now and learn all your shit. And they were like, you won't? And I'm like, fucking bet.
No, you weren't drunk, you were just really, really buzzed on
I was buzzed.
Substance.
I was up here, and I should have been down here. And I called Brie, I'm like, hey, don't be mad at me. And you never heard this.
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
I called her, I'm like, don't be mad at me, but I may have said that I could help Holdfast.
No, exact words is, honey, please don't be mad at me. Brie, the fuck did you do now?
Yeah, the fuck did you do? And I'm like, well, I may have offered my drumming hand to Holdfast because they've been having some drummer issues.
I'm like,
This
really?
same
That's
night,
it?
the same night, I ordered the blue drum kit. You can kind of see in the corner, and for like a couple months straight, I pounded. I fucking, like, learned their shit, and I'm like, okay, cool, I got the basics down. And I started out of my own twist. And then here we are a couple months later, after a podcast episode, they're like, we need you to learn other stuff. And I'm like, fuck. So now I'm here, so, like, I have my Cremation Society project, the Into the Crypt podcast, learning other people's music, writing my own music, so I 100% know, I'm like, man, this is way more balls than I ever thought I could fucking juggle, and I am not a clown.
That's fucking debatable.
Fuck you.
Let me go get that goddamn mirror.
No, we just paint his nose red.
Get fucked.
On top of work and having a toddler.
A demon. Not a
Cooter demon. That's what I've labeled the
Cross
baby.
goblin.
The cooter demon.
Cooter demon. Who is the reincarnate of her father. And
Oh,
stupidly,
bolsterous and ignorant.
What? The reincarnate of who?
her father.
Who? You forget I see this child every weekend. She is a reflection of you.
Alright, fine. She gets her intelligence from her father.
Attitude from her mother.
That's not an exaggeration.
So,
Dallas, you haven't seen her lately, but she is now a year and a half and runs everywhere.
yeah,
Oh!
Hold on, wait a minute. And now, once she gets comfortable with you, she does not shut up. It's
Okay.
It's what's this? What's that? Ooh, pretty. So I can't wait to come and see you again.
Okay.
It's going to be a trip for sure. But then
You guys doing Monster Mania in Cherry Hill?
I don't.
New Jersey show we don't go to.
Oh, we don't go to that one.
It's in Jersey. Scary.
Dad said we don't go to New Jersey because it sucks.
We've never.
Yeah, you can't pump your own gas, and there's no left-hand turns.
You gotta be shitting me.
It's absolute bullshit, man.
Dude, he's like 80. He's not like wrong. He's like 80% right.
Oh my
Yeah.
I gotta tell Cole this because I think it's funny.
I think
because-
there's like only 5 left-hand turns in the entirety of New Jersey.
Yeah, everywhere you go, it's like, especially in Cherry Hill, man, it's like you got to go and then you got to turn right and go up a block and then turn left and then come over so you can cross over. It's like, just let me fucking turn.
It's the exact same thing in Wildwood. It's a mess.
So the day after we had seen Hold Fast in Delaware, we come home and Luna's there whispering, and I'm like, Cole, whole ass there whispering. She's like, Cole,
Yeah.
Cole, and then out of nowhere it gets silent. And I'm like, I think she's saying Cole's name, and she goes, Cole. I'm like, holy shit, she did.
And then
That's the same kid 24 hours later was like, don't touch me.
Welcome to the family, Uncle.
Don't look at me.
I don't like you.
Like I said, welcome to the family, Uncle. It's fun here.
Mind you, Heather grabs her and is like, just walk away. And we're like, what? She's like, yeah, just walk away. We walk away and she doesn't cry. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dad legitimately gave me a panic attack because I'm like, dude, she just took her and she's like, it's okay, walk away, you're good. And I'm like, huh?
It's equivalent to me stealing her in the store.
It's not but here's the thing, she has never met Heather.
That was the first time
That was
ever.
the first time she has ever gone with anybody that was not me or her dad or you, that she just was like, okay. And I'm like,
What the fuck?
what just happened? Like, my mom brain was like, the fuck? Where does this make sense? I don't understand.
Lucas, are you sleeping?
No.
You got any questions for good old Dallas? You got to meet him once. That's the only other person who's got to actually meet you in person.
Yeah.
Because Josh is a bitch.
Have you ever thought about crossing over into like doing horror gaming pieces?
Ooh.
I have had some requests to do some gaming pieces. Anything in particular?
No, just in general, because
Dead by Daylight.
a lot of horror games play like horror movies.
I would say Dead
Oh
Space
yeah,
is
I
one.
mean, I'm old school. I remember the first Resident Evil,
Yeah.
and that, of course, that's back in the day. That game was the shit on the PlayStation, man. The beauty about that game was that there was no soundtrack. It was silent. All you heard was footsteps until a fucking dog jumped through the glass, scared the shit out of you. You drop the controller on the floor, and then the damn thing's mauling you, and you're like, what the fuck's going
The
on?
worst part is after you get past that room, that's when the damn soundtrack finally starts.
Yeah.
And then you got to turn on your bedroom light.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I would definitely be up to trying some of that stuff out. Yeah, I mean, I've got a list of things that people have asked me to do, and I just kind of, if I don't see the image in my head right away, I'll put it on the back burner and I'll come back to it and think, oh, what can I do with this one? And and some of the pieces, I'll go through 4 or 5 different renditions of it before I settle on exactly what I like.
Mm.
And and I'm trying to think of an example of that. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, no, I'm open to definitely trying new things. Like I said, I'm open to trying to do some more anime pieces. Like I said, Pokemon would definitely be an easy one because you got the hand and the Pokeball and Pikachu or something could be jumping out of it. But
I just talked to Bree about that and how you can do Pokemon, and that was one of the things I said. Like, he can draw like the Pokeball exploding and like the bright light and like the hand that threw it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, he could like poke." And I think I talked to you about it the last time I seen you. Like yeah, Pokemon would be something you could easily do. I think another one that you'd be able to do would be super easy. Would be like a Yu-Gi-Oh piece where they like have their arm out, so it would be a hand piece with like the card holder on it that they use.
Right.
The dual dip. That would be something super cool. I would love to see you try and do a Back to the Future piece.
okay.
That'd be neat.
You could do 7 Deadly Sins. They all have a weapon.
Yeah, 7 Deadly Sins where you can do weapons. Look, I'm all for throwing ideas your way. Anything to get you to do like a show in Harrisburg where I can like go out to eat with you and hang out more than just at a show.
I'm not. I've done the Harrisburg show. I've actually done the past 2 years, or I guess it was 1 year, and then they canceled for 2 years because of COVID, and then they did it again last year. It's in a new venue this year, so
Yeah, down
I'm.
the street from my house, guy. Literally, it's
not
at the
wrong,
farm show
literally.
complex. Down the street.
Well,
from my house.
maybe we'll talk some more about that. We'll see.
Look, if you need.
But again, those are the guys. I mean, that's basically my home show guys. They run the Hagerstown Con and they run the Harrisburg Con. Super nice guys. I mean, I love them to death. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would not be doing any of this because they gave me my first shot. Got in there and I just fell in love with it and just started meeting people. I've got a lot of friends now, on the con circuit. People that I talk to, people that I've become real good friends with, and I love it, and I just love that networking part of it. Just kind of meeting those people, creative people, and then just collaborating with people, doing different things like this and like that, helping people. Became good friends with guy Jason So. He artist on the Necroman comic book, and good friends with him, and I help him lay out pages and for his comic books and stuff like that because I worked in printing for so long. I know about bleed and margins and crossovers and all this kind of stuff that not your normal guy don't understand. He doesn't understand. You need a quarter inch or an eighth inch margin, or the stuff could be cut off. Because it's all mass produced. There's registration issues and all that kind of stuff that they just don't understand. And so I've definitely been able to help him out. Became good friends with him. Painted a couple statues for him that he had a couple necromans made up. He was like, "Can you paint these?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll paint them. Whatever." Had a good time painting them. So, yeah, I just like meeting new people, and like I said, I like telling the story, and a lot of people just get blown away by it, and they don't believe it it's especially funny when I'm standing behind the table, or if I'm sitting behind the table and somebody comes up and they're looking around and it's like, why is it a bunch of hands? And then I'll just like, this is why. And then they'll get all embarrassed. They'll be like, "Oh, I didn't mean to." I'm like, no, if I was embarrassed about this, I sure as shit wouldn't be drawing a bunch of hands.
You absolutely own it. I think that's the best part about it. Like, I've always wanted to know what happened to Dallas, but I never wanted to be the person. I felt like it'd be rude to ask in person. And you don't have a prosthetic, do you?
Oh, I do.
Do you? I've never seen you with it.
It slows me down, man.
I got a question. Do you get
Actually, before you ask that question, I got that prosthetic autographed by Bruce Campbell.
That's all there is. Bruce Campbell has not done a show East Coast that I can go meet him since I started going to cons, which the first one was my Creature Feature weekend. I would love to meet Bruce Campbell. I hear mixed things where he's a dick, but he's also super nice, and I almost kind of feel like that depends how he's being treated on that day.
So here's how that went down. So of course that was my first Monster Mania that I ever attended, right? So I paid the $50 or whatever for the autograph. So I've got my Army of Darkness poster that I had him autographed, and Ted Raimi was there, so I got him to autograph it as well. So we're standing in line, blah 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 blah. I got my prosthetic on. I tell my buddy, I was like, "Man, I'm kind of nervous. I want to see if I can get him to autograph my prosthetic." I didn't pay for the autograph. I paid for the autograph on the poster. So I get in there, and he was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Blah 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 blah. Get the autograph on the poster, and I was like, "Hey, man," I said, "I know I'm not supposed to do this, but is there any way you can autograph my prosthetic?" He was like, "Why not?" Grabs it, ash.
Damn.
Walks me out. So I'm walking out, got this prosthetic on, trying not to touch anybody. Got to make sure this damn ink's going to dry because it ain't going to be smudging. So I got that. Yep. Stand back. Stand back.
Don't touch me.
But yeah, but it's actually a legit prosthetic too. It's like the Luke Skywalker hand. It's myoelectric. You got sensors that go on the inside the socket that kind of read the muscles in my arm, so I can open and close it.
So do you get the phantom arm feeling? Like, is there times where it just feels like you have an arm there?
To this day.
That was my question.
Yep.
It baffles me because, like, I have a hard time thinking of what it would be like to be without it.
Give me an idea.
Whoa, God.
Give me an idea to pitch an idea to Dallas. Dallas, you like the Venture Brothers?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I see where this is going.
Dude, how have you not done a Phantom Limb?
That's
Okay. I was thinking a while back about a Venture Brothers piece, and of course, this was back before I kind of honed my skills a little bit. So of course, it was just going to be the two fingers, the Venture Brothers go thing or whatever. But yeah, Phantom Limb. All right.
Yeah.
be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Also, again, this is the man you owe a bender on canvas.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is the guy I talked to you about that's waiting for it.
I was showing Kevin. Years ago I picked up like a Bender action figure, and I actually pulled it back out recently. And I smoke cigars, and I got it sitting on my humidor, and I'm like, yeah, I really need him to get me this canvas so I can like display it next to my cigar case and my bar and everything.
So, what kind of Bender are you thinking of? Like just the Bender face?
He already has
no,
he's
Dallas
got
has
a Bender
no, he's
print
got the
in it.
he's got the Bender arm with the cigar. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be perfect in a humidor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
So get it.
Because it's just him.
Dallas, what the hell?
All right, we're gonna hook it up. We're gonna hook it up. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely, and every time you see me, I always have something new. You know, it's whether it's a new art piece or it's a new product. Period. You know, because I believe that there is such a thing as kind of market saturation. I mean, I'm not rich and famous. Yep, there's the Bender. But like I said, when I started, I started doing the 11x17 prints, and then people were, what I would get is people would walk up and be like, oh, I like that piece, but I just don't have any more wall space. I was like, okay, we're going to solve this. So I started doing the 5x7s. And then I started doing kind of pieces that were a trio, like SpongeBob, Squidward, and Mr. Crab. So then you buy two, get one free, your favorite pitch. But it works well with the 5x7s because you can set them up in a frame, 3 5x7s.
I fucking hate that pitch. I do. I never want anything free from somebody who worked hard to do it. It fucking makes me sick, but you make me do it.
It's sweet.
That's right.
It that way, but it's a clever marketing ploy.
I get it, but it bothers the hell out of me. Like, I understand it, but at the same time, I'm like, fucking stop it.
Well, and the cool thing about doing the 5x7s is, so I do 11x17s for $10, and I do 5x7s for $5. And of course, you got to buy two, get one free, so you can get 3 for 10.
Now, correct me
Okay.
if I'm wrong. You do, if you meet Dallas at a show and you buy a statue, you get a print, right?
Yes. Yep. You'll get a free print. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in. You'll get a free print if you buy a tumbler, a t-shirt, a mug. You get a free print. You buy a statue, you probably get 2 free prints. But
yeah, you tried to
Yep.
pull the 2 free print shit on us, and we were like, no, knock it the fuck off.
I got my statue and my t-shirt.
so yeah, I started doing the t-shirts. And again, this was market saturation. People were like, oh, I don't want any more prints. I don't have any more room for prints. Well, you got room in your dresser. So here, I'm going to start doing some t-shirts. And they've been popular as well. T-shirts and apparel, though, they can be such a pain in the ass because how many smalls do I stock? How many mediums do I stock? How many larges do I stock? And it's like, then I'm stuck with a bunch of shirts that nobody wants because they're either fucking too small or too big, and people come with, you got any 3Xs? Fuck, yeah, on the website. I'm not gonna stock a 3X.
You got any 3Xs?
No, not even
Fuck
the
you
whole guy.
guys.
It sounds me in general at every fucking mid-tour.
Did you get any of the 3Xs we had?
No, he hasn't been able to get any.
Jesus
I
Christ.
went for that new shirt, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, all the 3Xs sold out at the Ren Fair." I'm like, "Damn."
Yeah. Heather said that she's gonna put a special order in.
Nah, it's like the dumbest fucking thing ever. It's like, look, you always get people that come up and ask for the oversizes, unless you fucking have them. And then if you have them, nobody fucking comes up and asks for them.
So while we're talking
If I get 3 of them, they'll sell like that. If I get 4 of them, nobody will fucking buy them.
Mason will buy fucking all of them.
It's how fucking oversizes go, man. Every time.
While we're
Yeah.
talking t-shirts, I want to
Every
pull this
time.
up. While
Like,
we got a
even
I'm
chance.
telling you, 3 and they sell instantly. 4 and they sit there.
Like, I was looking
I
at
guess the
like
best way is gonna be
Ghost and like Motorhead, all the big
shit.
bands and companies, even Twisted and Insane Clown Posse. Oh, we have 3XLs for sale, and you go check there. Oh, all the 3XLs is sold out. Everything else is still there.
So what I'm gonna pull across,
Why?
and I'm super happy that I got to work with Dallas with this. He was my first choice on this. So we have a T-shirt that we're planning, partially inspired by our podcast in Dallas, and also partially inspired by Holdfast themselves. So we got two versions here. You can see we have the Into the Crypt podcast, which is super cool. I love the design and the font. And then we have a reverse that we will use for darker stuff for sure. And then we got the back, which is our pretty much Holdfast inspired. You have the Clover and the Whiskey and Chaos, which is freaking awesome. So, and then we got this side. So these are going to go on a shirt, and the shirt is going to be kind of specifically reserved for us and those who join us for the podcast. They're kind of an us thing, and hopefully at some point we'll get to a setup where we can sell them to others. But it was an idea we kind of kicked around. We thought it would be super cool. And we were like, who do we want to design it? And almost all of us, even Mason, I was like, we should do Dallas. And everyone's like, yes, let's have Dallas do our shirt. And I fucking love what you came up with. I like the, cartooniness of the Into the Crypt front side of the shirt. But I also love that you kept that, Celtic tattoo vibe with the clover.
And that's what that was definitely what I was shooting for on the backside. With the clover, because I was really thinking, I was like, this should be like a tattoo. So I was just trying to figure out the best way of doing that without having way too much detail, because I wasn't 100% sure exactly what you were going to be using it for. I figured it was going to be T-shirts and that kind of stuff, and I didn't know if it was going to be screen printed or if you're going to be doing your own.
And the artwork I sent you was not the most ideal. It looked like three penises stuck together.
It did.
I definitely took some artistic freedom on that. That's what I told you. I was like, hey, I kind of changed your design a little bit. Because you were like a tombstone.
Clover with whiskey and chaos attached to it.
Yeah, written through the middle of it.
He's like, can you sketch it out for me?
But the
I don't
front-
know if you want that.
Yeah, and the front, you were just like a tombstone with this and that. And I was like, but the tombstone's not a crypt. Let's do a crypt. And let's kind of have the door open because we're going into the crypt. So, like I said, and again, I apologize for taking so damn long to get to it. But
bro, we are in no rush. We have never been in a rush. This fucking podcast is not about rushing. It's about having a good time, talking with friends.
How many times did I let you just say openly, this is a dog shit podcast?
Yeah, we're not here to be number one. We're here to have a good time and talk to people and get to know people and just enjoy making new friends and family. That's the most important part.
I'm all about that. That's cool.
And me and Bree brought you into the family almost immediately. You were the second time we knew you were going to be at a show, you were the first person we went to. We walked by everyone, we're like, we got to go see Dallas. And
Nice.
Since then, we've kind of held that experience with you, and even with Holdfast. If Holdfast is at a show that we can go to, we're like, yeah, we're gonna go hang out with Holdfast. And even for my birthday, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to stay at home. I didn't want to have a party. I just wanted to go hang out with the people that I consider family and the people that made an impact on my life. So it was super cool, to get to know you the way we did, and now to finally, after so many months, get you on the podcast. That was the only pain in the ass. Because every time I'm like, Dallas, when can you do it? And you're like, oh, I gotta train new people. I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year for that kind of stuff. But
none of us thought we would ever have guests. We were like, we'll try for guests. I played this game of fuck around and find out. And that's kind of how I've been doing things. I'll throw out a post and tag a bunch of people and be like, well, someone will join. And the first people that joined us was Dragon Corpse from over in Australia. They're all over. And then the guys from Holdfast were like, well, we can do it, but we're super busy, so this is when we'll do it. I'm like, all right, sweet. That first episode went horrible. It's up. They didn't make it delete it. It's not worth watching.
Yes, it is.
It's worth watching for about the first 65, 75 minutes, and then
Then everything after that is just
Mess.
Cole made me cry on the porch. It was bad.
Watch a bunch of drunk assholes. There you go.
That was legit.
We weren't. I can't even say assholes.
No,
it was
Cole,
like
Cole,
a
that was-
super wholesome.
When he told me to tell people about this, that was my tagline for this. I'm like, you want to see me become a drunk asshole with two other drunk assholes? No, too fucking bad. Watch this shit.
The drunk asshole, and I don't care if he fights me, was drunk Dave.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
No. I love drunk Dave.
You knew your limit.
Back.
You knew your limit. Like, I need to fucking stay away from these people because I am. Mind you, I fed them Boilo, which has moonshine in it, so I had signed their certificates of fucking unknowing what's going on pretty early on.
You know who I blame because I was watching that video going, wait, I'm doing another shot? Why am I doing shots?
Which, I have to bring this up. You're one of the guests, and we don't get a lot of guests. There's going to be a point where we're going to throw a party here. And you're not super far away. We're in Harrisburg, PA. You're in Hagerstown, Maryland. So, like, an hour drive. We're going to throw a party. And we would like to make it where we can have all of the guests that have joined us join. So, we will let you know. We're going to let everyone know. And what we do at this party, so we tried it last year, and it was a fucking catastrophe.
No.
Because two people tested their limits in alcohol, Lucas and Kyle. Oh, sorry, I sneezed.
Lucas is like, the fuck?
But we would like to do it, and we would like to get everybody together and just kind of throw up a live stream of everybody having a good time and just chit-chatting. And it means so much to us that everyone has taken a chance to spend time with us and hang out with us, because really the only thing we do this for is because we're fans of you. We're fans of Holdfast. We're fans of the people we've had on, and we believe in, even in music, it's all artwork, and it means a lot to us to be able to get to talk about it and to get to know everybody who's a part of that stepping stone, because like, I can't do shit artistically like you can. Like, obviously you've seen the Dick Leaf Clover. And if you ever send me a random doodle of you actually making a dick leaf clover, I'm gonna make it a thing. That's 100% a sign.
He will put in the groundwork. I will watch him do it, and I will laugh.
But we're grateful to have the family we have, and any guest that joins us is absolutely family. This motherfucker almost made me cry on my birthday. Never gonna forgive you for it.
Don't make me get the crown.
I have a crown. Dallas, you were
Crown and sash.
You were a huge stepping stone for me and Bree recovering from a loss that we weren't ready for, and it was super important to us, and it was important to me to have you on the show, and I hope we get to have you again. And it's been such a fantastic time. Josh, do you have any questions for Dallas? Because you're the only one who hasn't asked anything.
That's bullshit. I was wondering about the fucking ninjas.
Where are the ninjas,
That's
Dallas?
my fucking question.
The only person that hasn't asked anything is me.
So it's funny. Like I said, when he was probably about 3 or 4, he's like, "Hey Pat, what happened to your hand?" And I was like, "Oh, ninjas cut it off." And he was like, "Okay," turned around and walked away. I was like, "Well, hell, that was easy." But then, like 6 months later, so what happened to your hand, Pat? Oh, ninjas cut it off. Well, where were you? So every time he kind of sees me now, he asks me more and he wants to get more details, and I got to keep making up more shit. And I'm it's getting harder. I'm like, "Oh, I was in an alley and they jumped out and they chopped it off." Well, what did you do? Well, I ran away. Well, where did you go? I went to the hospital because my arm was gone. He just keeps adding on and adding on. And one of these days, I'm just gonna have to tell him, "No, it wasn't ninjas, buddy. I cut myself shaving."
The ninja printing press. that shoots out 1,000 papers a second.
Yeah,
You know, Dallas.
the Fuji.
I think we need, and I don't think you've ever thought of this. We need an artwork from Dallas that just envisions the ninjas taking Dallas's arm. The symbolism of a bunch of ninja arms with just swords taking an arm off.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. But no, kids are great. Kids are great. I love their innocence. It wasn't long after I'd lost a hand, and we had gone camping at Halloween, and this was the first year that it happened, and I decided I was going to stay back at the camper and I was going to hand out candy, and I'm sitting there and kids are walking up and candy, and this kid walks up and he looks at me and he looks at my arm and he goes, "Wow, that is the best costume ever." And I was like, "Yeah, have some extra candy, kid."
I'm taking a drink.
Damn.
Just love it. I just love it. They'll do that shit. They'll kind of stare and it embarrasses the parents because they'll be like tugging on their shirt. "Look, Mom, he's got one hand," and they're like, "Come over here," and I'm just like, "It's all good, man."
You own this whole thing. You're like, I love that it makes your parents awkward.
Like, little Timmy, listen here. Don't ask the question loudly.
Don't make fun of the crippled man.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me about 11 years. Then I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to try to get a handicap tag. So I did the research, and turns out I can get a handicap tag. No questions asked. Just go in there and flash the stub, and they'll be like, "Okay, here's your pass." So I get one, and I'm parking a handicap spot, and I took my niece. She was probably about 10 or 11 at the time. We went to Walmart, and I pulled up and parked in the handicap spot, and she looked at me, she goes, "Uncle D, you're so lucky."
Oh, son of a bitch.
What a little shit.
I'm like, "Yeah, baby, I sure am."
What a little shit.
It's like I said, they just say the damnedest things, and you're just like, "I love it. I love it." I don't let it get to me, man. I can't. I'll get pissed off when I try to do something, but
Like PG-13.
Alright, I have a question.
Go for it.
All right, real quick,
She's speaking.
I gotta go. My laptop's about to die.
Thanks for joining, Lucas. Love you, buddy.
Bye.
Lucas, put those
Love you
kids
too,
in
man.
camp.
So, Dallas, how long have you and Cindy been married? Or together? Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, damn. All right, I'm not the only one.
He only has one hand to count on.
I feel like Cole felt that too.
Cole doesn't give a shit. That's what that look was.
20. We've been married 22 years.
That's a big
Been together 26.
So, you were together when you lost your hand.
It was a few months.
How did she react?
I was fucking horrified.
Well, Nana, here's the thing. We always see her, and if they've been together for that long, and they were only together for a couple of months, Dallas, as much as I love and respect you, I want to know how your wife feels.
Probably
Like,
shell shock.
how did she react to that?
I guess the same as like any other family member did. You know, it was like, okay, we can get through this, that kind of thing or whatever. She definitely helped me out a lot. There's like two two types of people in this world. There's people that can take care of people, and there's people that can't take care of people. I'm a person that can't take care of people. She's a person that can take care of people. So, she definitely took care of me, especially at the very beginning.
Aw. I like your wife. You gotta tell her I said hi.
Okay, she went to bed.
I was just thinking about it. Out of all the anime things, he can do shoot from Hunter x Hunter because the guy literally has one arm.
He can do a One Punch Man.
Yeah, but shoot from
One
Hunter
Punch Man is only a fist, dude.
My brother made a meme build in Skyrim as One Punch Man. He has fist fought all the win and win.
All right, Dallas. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I
All right.
put people on the spot. It's what I do. So, for those who don't know, or those who do, I have a tattoo in the back of my leg from a specific group of people who impacted my life heavily in a big down spiral.
Huh.
And I've thought
Oh,
about
damn,
this
it's
for a
like-
long time,
One of them's here.
and I want to get another tattoo.
Yeah,
But
it's like every other episode. Every
here's the
episodes.
catch. I want you to do a tattoo for me. And whatever you design, I'll pay you for it. And then I'll pay the artist I want to do it. But I want you to design a tattoo for me.
Okay.
That's in your style, whatever you feel. Bree has an objection, I think.
No, I have something to add to it. You need to make it embarrassing for him.
Don't make it
That's
embarrassing.
Yes.
The three-dick clover.
A big
Yes!
throbbing hard.
Don't make
three-dick
it the
clover.
three-dick clover, son of a
Yes!
bitch.
Three
That's it.
throbbing hard.
The 3-dick
Put
clover.
on your left ass cheek there, bud.
No,
Look, we can do.
Go,
hold
go,
on,
go.
Hold on. Wait.
Put it on it like a tramp stamp. Put it on it like a tramp stamp.
No. So this is
why
how
did
you do
I'm
the
not
three-
gonna get an embarrassing tattoo.
Yes, the fuck you are. I
Nope.
will even get Milo in on it. Don't test me. You can do the
Testing,
three-dick
testing.
clover
1, 2, 3.
and do the middle one erect and then just have the other two just kind of half flop.
Now it's
Or you can design something
Chubs.
in Dallas
now it's gonna
art
be a
style.
Florida penis, not a dick leaf clover.
Anything in the Dallas art
Dick
style.
palm.
But you're welcome to the chaos.
One hard one in the middle and two flaccid ones on the side. Well, that's a flirted dick now. So
It's a Florida dick palm.
But I would love to get something from Dallas who
Florida penis.
I think he's gonna die over there. You good?
Hey,
No
hey.
three-dick clover.
Hey,
Yes.
hey! If he gives you a Florida penis, in the reflection, it can be Gambit.
Regardless of what they say, my offer stands true.
Oh man,
It's not a rush,
then an American.
but I would
then
love
an
to have
American
something
traditional font
from
on the bottom.
Dallas
Mona
on
Lisa.
me as a permanent
You might as
part
well
of
put a
my
bald
life.
eagle at the top of the fucking dick.
You got it.
And it has to say proud to be American around it.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
Right,
man.
the whole fucking idea. He just
Welcome to the chaos side of the crypt,
Oh my god.
Look,
where we
okay.
lose all structure and shit on each other.
It's your fault every time.
Exactly.
So
See,
God damn
Dave
it.
knows it.
This is my third time here. I've sensed a pattern.
You're your own demise.
No,
No,
there was the
He's his own demise when I start bullying him harder.
The
when there's, like,
second
special people
time
in the
was no one's demise. The second Holdfast episode went smooth as shit.
No. You are
Oh.
your own demise.
Yeah.
You're right, except I drank a little too much and misunderstood what was being requested of me. And then, yeah, we'll talk about that after. Dallas, do you have anything to add? Do you have questions for us?
No, man, I'm having a hell of a time. This is fun.
That's what we aim for. Except the last time we had too much fun, someone probably hated me for it and made me cry in the porch.
No, you're just a bitch.
Bring this up every
I
time.
didn't make you cry.
You did.
Kevin, it's just you're a bitch.
Facts. Hey, you got any
Is
tattoos?
that what happened after all
You
these
don't- do
years
you
got
have-
soft?
Do you have any tattoos,
Huh. That explains a lot.
Dallas?
Did you ask your wife if she has any
No,
tattoos?
do you have any tattoos? I'm looking.
Oh,
at
I was about to
you,
say.
but not the camera.
No. His wife is below the table, so if you see eyesight go down, there's some.
I was about to say.
Going on.
Oh my god.
No, I don't have any.
Magical place.
But that's gonna change eventually. I've been contemplating. I wanted to. I had drawn something probably a couple years after I lost a hand. I had drawn, and I don't know where the hell it's at. I used to have it somewhere, but I had drawn something that I was going to get tattooed up on the upper part of my arm. It was a thumbs up, had the hand thumbs up, and then it had a halo over the thumb, and then the bottom at the wrist, it kind of flowed down like it turned into paper. And then I had 1977 to 1998 on it. And basically it was like a memorial to my hand.
Fuck, I love it.
God, why have you not done that yet?
I will get that done.
Eventually, but damn, that's awesome.
That is fucking hilarious.
I have one more question. Yes, it's kind of random. Where does the Studio 327 come from?
He already.
So the 327 is March 27th. That's the day I lost my hand. So yeah, that's the 327's always been kind of like, and it's funny, people kind of think it's morbid or whatever, but I used to like throw a party on 327 every year and just
For your arm?
get blitzed. It was my hand party, you know, and we would just fucking have a good time, you know. We
Just
played.
Get absolutely fucked up.
How do you give yourself
Yeah, we would just. It's like my second birthday, you know. You know, so we would always, and I haven't had one in a while, but yeah, when I was younger, man, we would just have a blast, get all fucked up, go to Denny's, fucking.
Denny's, what the fuck is up?
That's the fucking place.
Oh man, Dallas. The next time Holdfast makes it down to Maryland, you need to come.
Okay.
I'll be there. We'll all hang out.
Yeah.
I kind of have an obligation now that I've been designated captain of something I wasn't aware of. But no, I think that
Quit being a bitch about it.
Oh my
I think we
God.
need to do that. I think that'd be awesome, and I know Holdfast kind of. I don't want to say occasionally, but you make a few trips down to Maryland a year.
We're back from Maryland Seafood Festival in
You said seafood.
next month.
Next month?
Yeah.
Let us damn shame.
Let us
Bree.
know today. I'll go kidnap Dallas.
Damn shame. Maybe you shouldn't have allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to let me know. I'm down.
Don't worry, I'll join you
Get
on
like
that.
16 EpiPens. Take a bite of crab cake.
You know
Shoot
where
up.
Seafood?
Bite of crab cake. Shoot up.
You know we're at, Cole?
I don't know. Ask Dallas another question, and I'll tell you.
Dallas.
Yeah.
I think the most important question is, to anyone struggling from a disability, what do you have to say if their goal is to be part of the world of art? Because you're an image of someone who overcame a hard loss and to come back. So, most of all, what is the most important message that you would want to pass on to anybody struggling that wants to be a part of the world of art but feels that they can't?
Like I said before, own that shit. It's not a disability, man. It's there are ways to use your disabilities or any bad thing you got going on to your advantage. Again, in my case, and I'm kind of special. I'm kind of just like retarded in that way that it doesn't bother me the way that it bothers other people. I, you know, I had two roads I could have gone down. I had a decision to make. I could have kept crying, felt sorry for myself, and not done a damn thing with my life. Or I could have quit crying, picked my ass up off the ground, and went on with life. And that's what I did. I mean, my hand isn't. It wasn't my total being. Yeah, life is a little bit tougher because of it, but I got a good support system. I got good friends. I got good family, and they help me out when I need it. But you gotta own that shit, and you gotta turn those weaknesses into strengths or whatever. Kind of like I did. I was like, okay, I want to do art. Okay, well, I found a different way of doing art. There are tools out there to help you do all kinds of stuff. And if the tool isn't out there, make it. Figure it out. When I was working at the second printing company I was working at, they had some software that I was using that I just thought was really rudimentary and clunky. So I taught myself C# and how to program, and I wrote a better version of it. And that company still uses that software to this day. I've written some iPhone games. I've had some games out there in the past. They're not there anymore because I let my developer license expire or whatever. But it's that kind of stuff. It's like if you see something you want it, go get it, man. Don't let anything stop you, especially something like missing a hand. But yeah, it's positive attitude, man. You gotta have a positive attitude. You gotta be able to make fun of yourself, and I do that all the time. Me and my partner that I work with at work, we're always kind of joking, and he's into golf. It's every day golf, and I'm just like, my God. And the other guy comes in, and I don't know if you guys know too much about golf, but you tee off from, there's different tees that you can tee off from, depending on your handicap, whether you're a boy, a girl, a senior citizen, or whatever. So, women shoot from a closer tee, and senior citizens, and then, middle-aged men, they shoot from the back tee or whatever, and they got different colors. And I told him, I said, hey, man, when I go golfing, you know what tees I shoot from? He goes, what? I said, the amputees. And he's like,
Fuck.
it's just stupid shit like that. You got to make up funny jokes or whatever. And
Throws them through a loop, and that's the best part.
Dude,
The-
every
the-
time you make a joke, it fucks me up because I don't expect anyone who has gone through what you've gone through to, like, whole ass essentially trash talk it the whole time.
uh-huh.
Yeah, fucking.
Well, it's funny. And I'm always looking for new ones, and whenever somebody busts my balls and says something funny, I'm just like, yeah. I used to I used to fuck with a guy I used to work with because I was friends with him and I was friends with his wife, and she was pregnant. So I'd always fuck around with him and say, hey, how's my girlfriend doing? How's my baby? And one day he I don't know, he just came up to me and I said, hey, how's my girlfriend? How's my baby? He goes, I'll tell you one thing, is if that baby comes out with one arm, you're going to be in trouble. I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, I'm keeping that one, man. I'm keeping that one.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Dallas?
I didn't get to ask a question earlier. I kind of made a comment.
You did.
I was wondering. So we've talked about like your real life personal influence that's affected your art, but I was wondering, contemporary or classic any artist that you consider to be your inspiration or an influence on your art?
Yeah, I mean that is a great question because coming from growing up in the 80s and 90s and reading a lot of comic books and stuff. Of course, I have some favorites mostly in the comic industry. I love the guys again from the 90s. I love the Jim Lees and Todd McFarlanes and all those guys. They were great inspirations for me growing up. But as I've gotten older, I love the guys that do stuff like Alex Ross. His painted style is fantastic. He was one of the first guys that did like a fully painted comic book. And it's really great stuff. Was it Drew Struzan? I think that's his name. Basically, if you looked at any movie poster in the 80s, he was the one that painted it. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Futures, all those guys. Just a great kind of realistic style, but kind of just soft. And I really dug that. But any other like artists that I would have to say, man, it's a tough question because it's really, of course, it is in the eye of the beholder. If I see something I like and it jumps out at me, I'm like, that's kind of cool, and that might be the only thing that guy's ever done that I've liked. It may not. His other stuff might be, you got certain artists that you have a nostalgic feel for, like like Bob Ross, because I just grew up so long ago when we only had 5 damn channels and he was on one of them. And it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to paint some happy little trees here. And it's like that kind of stuff was a big inspiration as well. There were other shows that kind of came on, and I base a lot of my likings off of TV and comic books and movies. And that's, if you look at a lot of my pieces, it's what it is. It's pop cultural stuff. One of these days, I'd like to do something kind of creator owned. I've toyed around with some things here and there, but again, I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And I spread myself a little too thin. And I've just now recently, since I've gotten a little older and I've just gotten a little more tired, I've kind of realized that I can't do everything myself. I can do it all myself, but there's really no reason to. Case in point, I was thinking of my next statue that I was going to be working on, and I thought, man, my Beetlejuice piece with the sandworm and the Zagnut would be really cool. But I did not want to take the time to learn a lot of the 3D modeling that it would take to do that or whatever. So I basically reached out on Facebook. I saw a guy that I had bought a model off of before, and said, "Hey, you take commissions?" He was like, "Sure." And I gave him the picture, and he made the model, and this was the result. Probably can't see it very well.
Yeah, but from what I can see, that looks freaking awesome.
Yeah, this piece is very legit. And it's huge. It's twice the size of the Sam statue. And again, I basically just had him do the sandworm and the hand and the Zagnut part. I did the base myself because that's about my skills, is doing that. So, but it's cool. It's kind of a mixed media piece. I really wanted to put like a real Zagnut bar in there. But I decided I'll just kind of paint it, and that's all hand painted. And the cool thing about that is down in the bottom where the sandworm's coming out, it's actually sand. I put some glue down there, sprinkled sand in there, so it's actually like, you know, a mixed media piece. And I like doing that kind of stuff. But that's my latest statue. That's a pain in the ass to paint. God. But I have fun doing it.
So I got one more question before we close this out. Have you ever thought
Yeah.
about doing any type of like limited run item where like you design something, you do it, and it's just for this moment of time, and then that's it? Not doing it anymore.
I haven't thought about that per se, mainly because I don't move enough product to be like, okay, I'm only going to have 2 of these, or I'm only going to have 5 of these. Especially like my statues and stuff, they're kind of made to order. So I just, if somebody ordered one off the website, then I would, kind of make it and then ship it out. I just sold a Sam last week. Shipped it to a guy in Connecticut or something. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not getting rich off of this stuff. But like I said, it makes me feel real good and honored when people like you come up and just give me all this praise and stuff, and I'm just like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really do. I'm glad I've had that impact on you, and especially I'm glad I was able to kind of inspire you to kind of dig out of a hole that you were in. And I'm just totally honored and humbled that I was able to do that, because I'm just this guy that just wanted to get into the con early. I just wanted a vendor badge.
Well, Dallas, this has been an honestly humbling experience. You've been fantastic to talk to, and it has been a great time. But it is that time where we close the door to the crypt.
Wake up. You gotta do something. Come on, Ramblers. Let's get rambling.
What the
It's a valid question.
fuck? You want to ask it before we go
No,
off?
you asked the question.
All right. Cole's got a
Coward.
question that I gotta ask. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I suck at drawing feet, 10 being I'm great at drawing hands, how anti-Rob Liefeld are you?
Rob Liefeld.
Fucking Christ!
You're such a dick.
That's a good one.
Oh,
that's funny because early Rob Liefeld is not bad. I really like it. His stuff that he's been cranking out lately just seems really rushed, and I just don't know. But I would have to say, so the question was, scale of 1 to 10, what?
Cole? Yeah, I gave you. You got.
One, I can't draw feet. 10, I'm super amazing at drawing hands. How anti-Rob Liefeld are you?
I'm glad you found it funny too.
He's the one that kept talking about 80s and 90s artists. I'm like, okay.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
Holy shit.
Fucking Christ.
Just give yourself a 12. Give yourself a 12.
Overrated.
So I do got a question for everybody.
Oh,
So,
Damn it! I'm leaving.
am I the oldest? Am I the oldest person in the room?
Cole?
I'm 46.
Cole?
You are not the oldest person in the room.
Really?
Nope.
Josh is the baby. Lucas would know. You are the baby.
No.
Let's say
Lucas is the baby.
Lucas
In
ain't
the
here.
room.
Oh, in the room? Yeah, I would be the baby. I'm only 24.
Mason's the baby. Yeah, you got some. You got like a decade on him.
Nah.
So from
I got like 2 decades on it.
Yeah, unless you got a birthday in the next 10 days, you're not the oldest person in the room.
How old are you? Cole.
I'm 45.
Cole.
I will be 46 on the 30th.
Yeah, you're definitely not the oldest person in the room.
Ooh, the 30th of July?
Cole, how old are you?
I'll be 47 in 11 days.
No, I'm gonna say Bree. You don't ask a
is it after
magician that
midnight?
question.
No, I'm
Yep.
gonna ask the
Yep.
magician. I'm gonna ask the man in the kilt.
In 10 days,
That
I'll be
question.
47.
I'll get 38.
Man, there's a lot of people that have July birthdays.
Yeah, fuckers.
Well, our parents had to keep warm in the winter somehow.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Our parents didn't have no heat.
Kevin's
Had to
birthday's the
create our own
first.
friction.
Mason and my birthday's on 26th.
It is? Share the same birthday?
Yeah.
Oh shit, we do.
Because every time I work, it comes to my work, it's like, well, there can only be one.
No, yeah, you always do say that.
You always tell me that.
No, you fucking started it. You said there can only be one. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Start this Highlander shit then.
So,
I don't ever
you
call
said
him, but
your,
sure.
your grandson asks all the time about your hand. How old is your grandson now?
Alright, well, the back of this hand is good. So,
My grandson is 6.
Oh, okay. So not that much older.
So Dallas, was there
He's almost at the point where you can tell him how gruesome the ninjas
really were?
Really were.
So was there another question of follow up to that? Because I feel like there's a follow up question you have now.
No, because like I said, I'll reference 80s and 90s shit all day long. If I could get in a time machine, I would definitely go back to the 80s. The 80s were fucking awesome. We are never going to get movies
yes,
or cartoons or anything like we had in the 80s.
As a metalhead, some of the best metal bands came out of the 80s. So
Yeah.
Dallas, what do you listen to?
yeah, what do you listen to? Hold fast, right?
I listen to just about anything.
All right.
Depends on, again, I'm from the 80s and the 90s, so I'll listen to a lot of 80s stuff, a lot of 90s stuff. I mean, I was into the gangster rap and all that stuff, the Dre's and the Snoops and all that stuff back in the day.
Yeah, it was acceptable back then. None of that mumble bullshit.
I don't. Yeah.
Alright, calm down, Gabe.
Mason, you were having a good week.
This is why we need a padded room for you.
He beat me to it.
Oh
Give
shit.
me hard, buddy.
oh, he said.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of current rap.
Nobody.
Not at all.
Nobody
It's fucking garbage. I hate it.
I don't think there's a lot of people a fan of current music. Period.
Hollow just dropped a new track, and one of his lines in it is, "Well, hip hop is dead. You might as well call this necrophilia."
Why do you think Ice-T has a metal band?
Yeah.
Hip hop sucks.
Yeah. But I'll listen to a lot of rock. I'll listen to I like. So it depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm mowing the grass or whatever, I'll jam out some like Dragon Force because it's fast.
I feel that.
Bitch, don't even mow.
You're right. I don't have to. I got an HOA.
Not anymore, but when he did.
I used to have to.
2 yards at once, and both of them were freaking on stupidly steep inclines.
Dad, want to cut my grass?
No, Kyle. I have an HOA, so I don't have to cut the grass. Ask Cole.
He actually might do it for a new couch.
I like not mowing my lawn.
Mason, that's gonna have to be your spot forever now.
Dallas,
Bro,
I thank you again, man. I'm super happy you're able to join us. We gotta cut it off.
Yeah, man.
We gotta cut it off, but we can continue to talk. I have one thing that kind of came out of the Cremation Society that was done from me and Lucas yesterday. So for those who don't know, the Cremation Society is essentially my one-man band project that I started working on. Lucas helps me here and there where he can. We wanted to do something for Kyle to kind of express our emotions because everybody who's been close to us, and especially close to me, has almost always become family. Cole became family quickly over the past year. Kyle, you've been my family. We've been friends for longer than I can fucking even
15
count.
years.
Josh became family very quick. We bonded very quickly through video games. Mason, it only took one slap of your ass for you to call me daddy. I had no choice.
I was used to being a slab of meat for 70-year-old women. What do you want from me?
At least you get to see titties there.
And Dallas,
I saw them like 3 times. I don't need to remember them, Josh.
And Dallas, you are absolutely part of the family too, and I look forward to when we get to throw the end of the year party to actually get to have you in person to meet everybody. Dallas, your story
Best part
is
you're at least
truly,
third, bros.
truly inspiring, and the fact that you
They were
continued
so down
on
to their fucking knees.
through what would have been most people's end all, especially with what you love to do. Is
Yeah,
really
that's
inspiring.
rough, dude.
It's really inspiring for me, and I'm sure all of us. It's been super great to talk to you. Dallas, do you have any closing words before we go off air?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I had a blast. You guys are great to talk to. I definitely want to do it again sometime, even if it's just to jump on and talk about a movie or something.
Oh, hell
I'm
yeah.
down.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this episode off. I'm going to cut the
They're
mic,
my
but there will
favorite
still
horror
be
movie.
audio for all of us. I'm going to cut the mic. I'm going to pull up a recording that we did yesterday. Dallas, you can definitely still hang out. You'll hear it through our mic. They just won't hear our mic live, so that way they can't hear us talking. So this is kind of a two-piece thing. Lucas kind of wrote the beginning. It's kind of melancholy, and then I kind of come in from guitar after. So please do me a favor, enjoy this piece. If you like the podcast, follow us on Twitch. Also subscribe to us on YouTube so you can see this recording later. Dallas, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on the episode. I'm so happy we finally got to have you to talk about your artwork. I'm so goddamn happy I finally got to hear your story because I waited so long and I wanted to ask for so long. Cole, thanks for coming to hang out, man. Definitely a surprise. We love you. Guys, everybody from the Into the Crypt podcast, say goodbye as we close out the mic and we kick the audio.
Goodbye. I did get an answer. Maryland Crab Fest, Annapolis, August 19th.
Oh, yeah, that.
See y'all
August
there.
19th, Annapolis. How far is that from you?
Where's that?
Annapolis is,
About 2 hours for us.
it's an hour or two.
All right. Well, if you ain't...
That's not bad.
August 19th, Hold Fast will be playing in Annapolis. We should hang out.
All right, I'll check the schedule.
Hell yeah.
You know how that goes.
Let me know. Let me know what happens. We'll make it happen, but I do feel like we all need to get together at some point and hang out, even if it's at our end of the year party.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody.
I'm definitely down for that.
We're going to cut the audio. I'm going to pull up the recording. Dallas, thank you once again. This has been the Into the Crypt podcast, and we will see you next week.